Okay, so we are back on again, and I cannot really, before I go to my brothers and my sisters for the questions. I want to say one thing. Say this first. For those of you who are interested in this broadcast, I cannot really tell you. I can't tell you the time that we're going to be on, because I know that we're all in different countries and different places. So I cannot tell you the time that we are going to be coming on, but it's going to be exactly at this time. So it depends on where you are, depend on the country where you are, anywhere you are, we are going to be coming on at this time, exactly around this time. So, but I can't give you a specific time. I'm trying to get the Facebook ready. I'm trying to get the Facebook ready, and then through Facebook and through other platform, I will be able to send out, by this time in 2 months or in a month, I'm going to have some of these things all figured out, so that before we even go online, before I go online live, you will get a message. You will get a notification that says, oh, I'm going to be online at so time. And even when I'm online, you will get a notification that will tell you that, So I'm working on those things, and I'm hoping to get those things together. So if you are usually interested in this broadcast, then we will be starting around this time. So it depends on where you are. Just look at the time where you are right now. Whatever the time is right now will be around the time that we're going to be. Somebody is asking what's my email. My email is coming kingdom broadcast. Coming kingdom broadcast at gmail.com. Coming kingdom broadcast at gmail.com. That's my email. So you can email me there. You can look on the YouTube channel and you will see that. Coming kingdom broadcast at gmail.com. So if you want to request for the calendar that you usually see on the new moon report, if you want to request that calendar, or if you want to, whatever that thing you need on the email. I just emailed the book of Jubilees to somebody this morning, to a sister this morning. So if you want to request something like that, then I'll have to send it to you through email. But like as I said, I want to give this right for now. I just want to let you know that this is around the time that we're going to be live on YouTube. Now, there's a difference between being here live and on the study that we do on Skype. Because here we deal mainly with questions, and it attracts all kinds of people, different kinds of people that do see through online and see, hey, there's people talking about the law. Let me go in and see what they're talking about. So this is open to the world. So, but what we do on Skype is private. So there's 2 hours we spend on Skype when we come on, and there's 2 hours we spend over here. I'm explaining these things right now because this is all still new. So whatever the time is in your area, it will be like 9 for my time. It's 10:09 right now. It's 10:09. So for my time, we're going to be starting. I'm going to be online live on YouTube from 10 my time. So you have to look at your own time and see whatever time it is for you in your area. That's when we'll be, when I'm going to be on. So having said that, I'm going to go into the questions. Let's start with the first one that the brother was asking about the book of about Abraham. And then by the way, you can call in if you're listening right now. If you are if you're listening on YouTube, if you're on YouTube, you can call in the number you see below this video. You can call that number if you have any question, or you can also contact me through WhatsApp. You can contact me on WhatsApp. I'm speaking of WhatsApp. Let me get that ready right now. So you can call. You can call on the phone number that you see. You can also contact me through WhatsApp. You can call in through WhatsApp. The reason why I do recommend the WhatsApp is because there are people that are in some countries where you may not be able to call that phone number. You may not be able to call it because if you try to call it, they will tell you that it's a long distance phone number. So in that case, you will not be able to call it. So that's why I do have the WhatsApp So in that way, you can simply call me. You can simply call me through WhatsApp. So you're more than welcome to call through WhatsApp or send a message through WhatsApp. It's up to you. It's just an option that I wanted to have available. So I just got my WhatsApp, getting my WhatsApp ready for those that would like to call in. Okay, so my WhatsApp is ready. You can call in or you can text in. Just take that phone number. Take the phone number you see, the phone number you see on the screen. Save that number on your phone, and if you save it, you should be able to go to WhatsApp and see the Coming Kingdom broadcast on WhatsApp, and you can call in from there. So these are the ways you can call in right now. So I'm going to come back to I'm coming back to brothers here. So Brother Chibuzo, can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, could you repeat that question again about something about Abraham and Book of Enoch?
Yeah, you made mention that God asked Abraham to read a book. Then that book, you said it should be the book of Enoch. Then I'm asking, where is it? And you are directing it to the book of Jubilee. That is in the book of Jubilee. So I just want to get the place where God said Abraham should read this book or read something so that and use it to encourage on the book of Enoch.
Okay, so if you go into the book of Jubilees, you will it covers a lot of things about Abraham. Initially, when Abraham left, this you could have seen this in Genesis chapter 10. This was supposed to be in Genesis chapter 10. So if you read Genesis chapter 10 and you see the kind of interaction that the Most High made with Abraham, that was taken out of the book of Jubilees. So just like they took, the book of Genesis was made out of the book of Jubilees. So, but they did not put all the information in the book of Genesis. So the full information, like for example, where Cain got his wife, the full information is found in the book of Jubilee. So if what you could have seen in Genesis chapter 10, you will now see the full information in the book of Jubilees. And I really do recommend it. It's amazing. The book of Jubilees has about 50 chapters. You should read the whole thing. It's really, really good. You will learn so much if you read the book of Jubilee. You will learn a lot. You should spend time. Chapter 50, almost the whole chapter, starting from verse 6, deals with the Sabbath. It gives you a lot of information about the Sabbath. So there's a section in there that deals with Abraham. I recommend that you read it. It's better that you read it so that at least you can get the whole context and understand the relationship that Yah had with Abraham, the reason why Yah told him to go read those books, and you get a better. So when you explain it to people, you'll be able to know a lot more of what you're talking about instead of just taking one verse or two verses. So in that book, it started out with Abraham. Abraham did not. There was no interaction between him and the Most High. There was no interaction. But Abraham hated what he was seeing in his family. His father, for those of you that grew up in West Africa, you know how we have some families where the father of the house has a shrine. Has a shrine, and he is a big man in the village, and he has a shrine, and everybody. That was Abraham's father. He has a shrine like you see in West Africa among the Hebrews. His father had a shrine, and Abraham did not like that. Lot was Lot's father was Abraham's brother. The father of Lot was Abraham's brother. So Abraham did not like what he was seeing, that his father was worshiping idol. So he tried to convince his dad to stop worshiping those idols. His father did not listen. He was telling his father that you need to worship the God of the heaven. You need to worship the Creator instead of worshiping idols. his father did not listen. So Abraham decided to go burn down. He decided to burn down his father's shrine. So he decided to do it at night. So one night he went to burn the whole thing down. So when he set that shrine on fire, as he set it on fire, his brother Lot's father, came to put those fires out, and he died during that. He was consumed by that fire. After that, Abraham left the family. So as he left, that was when he communicated with the Most High pretty much for the first time, because that's what Paul was talking about. So when Paul was telling you that it was because of his faith, that's what Paul was referring to. And when you read the book of Jubilees about Abraham, then you'll be able to understand what Paul was talking about. So when Paul tells you that Abraham was justified because of his faith, Paul was referring to the book of Jubilee, because Abraham believed in the Most High even before he heard from the Most High, even before he interacted with the Most High. He had faith. He believed that there must be a greater creator, that this shrine over there that our father is worshiping, no, that cannot be our creator. So that was his faith, and the Most High saw that, and the Most High liked that. That's what Paul was talking about. Paul was not trying to say that Abraham was justified and he didn't care about the law, because the Most High also told you that Abraham kept all his laws. So that's why I recommend the book of Jubilee, that for you to read about Abraham. So in the process, as he left his family, the Most High told him to go and read the books that was written before him. There was no book that was written. Enoch was the one that wrote a book. The Most High gave Enoch prophecies of the things that will happen all the way towards the end of the world. Enoch wrote those things down. He was pretty much, that was the book. So when the Most High told him to go and read those books, those are the things that the Most High wanted Abraham to understand. And it took him about 6 months to read it. That was the book. There was no, Enoch was the first person to, and you see Jude confirming this in Jude chapter 1 verse 14. Confirming the things that Enoch wrote. So that was the book, that was the first book that we have. I know you may be thinking, if that's the case, how did we know? If that's the case, how did we know about the things that happened in the garden? I know you may be asking that. How do we know about the things that happened in the garden? How did we know that, all the things that went down inside the garden? That's a good question. The scripture that I will refer you to is 2nd Esdras. When you have time, download the book of 2nd Esdras, or download the book of 2nd Esdras, or go online and you read and you see how the Most High sent angels to reveal things to Ezra. It's the same thing you see in the book of Daniel. I know that you believe in the book of Daniel. Do you see, read Daniel chapter 7. You see how the angel was teaching Daniel and revealing things to him, and Daniel wanted to know certain things. An angel will be sent to reveal things that will happen, was revealed to Abraham. That's how the Most High revealed the things that happened in the past to these holy men. That's how we get to know what happened in the garden. And you can easily see what I'm talking about in the book of Daniel. Read chapter 7. Same thing with the book of Revelation. That's how we get to know what happened in the garden. But before that, or after all that happened in the garden, the first book was the book of Enoch. The Enoch was the one that wrote things. Enoch was the one that have write things down. So when the Most High was telling Abraham to go read the things that was written before him, that was referring to the book of Enoch, because there's no other. That's the first major book, and the Most High made sure that those books was preserved, even till this day. Does that make sense, brother? I don't know if you can still hear me, Brother Chibuzo. You asked the question that we're dealing with right now. So again, go and when you study the book of Enoch, he was the one that Yah had him write the things. He wrote a lot of things, like the one that we read earlier today.
I'm through with the question.
Okay, so Yah had him write the things, and the things you see in the book of Enoch 77, that was an angel explaining to Enoch how the moon operates. So what we read earlier today in Enoch chapter 77 was actually an angel explaining to us that when the moon is dark, that is the new moon day. When the moon is dark, that is new moon. So that was coming from angel, just like the things you read in the book of Enoch, Daniel chapter 7 was coming from angel, just like what you read in the Revelation was coming from angel. So these things are trustworthy. But also, I have to say this. I have to tell you this, and we all should know this. 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 14. For those of you who are honest and holy and want to live a righteous lifestyle, you need to know about 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 14. Because I kept talking about angels revealing these things. So you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 2 verse 14. It says, but the natural man does not receive the things of the Spirit of Elohim, for they are foolishness to him, nor can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. So regular people will not understand this. It doesn't make sense to them. When they look at you and see the things that you do, you've changed the way you dress, you change the way you eat, you do all these things, to them, you are crazy to them, because the things that you're following, the things that you're doing, they cannot get it. It doesn't make sense to them because they are natural. That's why we have to become spiritual. So when we say that the angel was the one that revealed these things, that's how we get to know what happened in the garden, because the Most High had, that's why you see Moses up there for 40 days and 40 nights. What the hell do you think he was doing up there? Do you think that it takes 40 days and 40 nights to write the 10 Commandments? Oh no. The 10 Commandments was not the only law that he was given. You wearing your tassel is not found in the 10 Commandments. Kill a rapist is not found in the 10 Commandments. So when he was up there, that's why I say that you should read the book of 2nd Ezra. Because what happened to Moses is the same thing that happened to Prophet Ezra. Yah told him to select scribes and take them, people who can write, and he took them into the wilderness, into a bush, and they were there. The things was being revealed to him, and those people was writing them down. That's how you get to have the book of Ezra and 2nd Ezra. So that's how we get to know what happened in the garden, because Yah have an angel explain it to these holy men, and it was written down. And the book of Enoch is pretty much the oldest book before all these other books. So yeah, so that's that question. I hope that this is clear. I hope that brother, I hope that you're satisfied. If you're not satisfied with the question, if there's anything, or if you don't get it or whatever, let me know, and then we can. I want to make sure that we are clear on these things. And if you do need the book of Enoch, book of Jubilees, let me know and I will email it to you. I have a translation that is very, very good. That translation is easy to read. If you go and download it online or read it online, it may be difficult for you to find the areas that talk about. I have a translation that the way it was translated, the way it was put together, the way they arrange it is easy for you to go into that book and be able to know the area that you want to read. It's easier to study. So I can email it to you if you need it. You can email me, send me an email that you need the book of Enoch, book of Jubilees, and I will email it to you. So there's a question. Let's address. I saw a question over. Somebody typed a question about eating animal. Before we get to that question, there's another question that a sister has. So I want to take it by order, one after the other. And you're more than welcome to call in. I prefer to talk to you. I prefer to talk to you rather than I prefer to. So if you can call the phone number that you see, or you can also save that phone number on your phone and call me through WhatsApp. You call WhatsApp right now. It's going to ring over here. So you can call me through WhatsApp, or you can send your questions through WhatsApp. It's up to you, whichever one that you want. It's up to you. You can call through WhatsApp, or you can send your question through WhatsApp. So just save that number on your phone, and then you can call. I prefer when you have a question, or I prefer to talk to you, so that in that way we can interact and go through the Bible together. So let's get to Sister Brenda that had a question. Sister Brenda, can you hear me? Oh, by the way, I did not mention at the beginning, this will be on Tuesdays. I will be on live on YouTube on Tuesdays for 2 hours. I will be on live on YouTube. Right now, it's going to be on Tuesdays. If the date change, I will let you know. For now, I'm going to be live on YouTube for 2 hours on Tuesdays. Right now, on Tuesdays. So as time goes on, I'm going to try to, I'm probably going to do a little promotion to give you information on that. It's hard for me to tell you the time because I know we're in different states and different countries. So, but right now, we've been on now for 28 minutes. So whatever the time is in your area, we've been on now for 28 minutes. This is the time that we're going to be on. So I'm going to be on YouTube live on Tuesdays at this time. On Tuesdays. So you can look at the time on your phone right now. You can look at the time on your clock. We have been on for 28 minutes right now. So this is around the time I'm going to be on live on YouTube, and it's going to be on Tuesdays. So and you can call in for whatever, any question, anything. It's up to you. Sister Brenda, can you hear me?
Yes, I was having problem. The electricity went off and my computer is a mess, and I'm just trying to organize this cell phone. But the question I have is, that's why I signed in late today. I went to buy the tassel, but they are showing me two different ones. They are showing me one with all threads hanging, right? And then they're showing me one with threads like in little bundles tied. Which is the right one?
You said they're showing you one without the threads hanging?
They're showing me one with threads hanging, all the threads just hanging, right? And then there's another one where you have, like, you put a little bit together and it's like it's tied or something like that. And that's how it goes all the way around. Which is the one? The one that is hanging free or the ones that are tied?
Okay. Let me see if I can show you. See if I can show you. It's kind of like hard for me. I'm trying to see if I can pull mine up for you to see.
But I'm not even having a picture of you. I don't know what the picture just went off.
Oh.
Because I'm on my cell and I cannot handle this, but my TV is not coming. My computer is not coming on since the power went off.
Okay. Well, let's see. You can't see you are on the phone basically. You can't see me.
No, I'm not seeing.
You can't see me. So I'm trying to I try to show you what the tassel looks like. So what we can do is that you are on Skype right now. If any of the brothers, can somebody please take a picture, get a picture of a tassel, what it looks like, and show to the sister. Post it up on Skype so that she can see what it looks like. Since you cannot see it, I was trying to show you mine. My cloth is kind of like, I'm trying to get up here and show you what it looks like. But you can't see it. But this is what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to. I'm sure somebody will post up a picture.
Yeah, if you can post a picture, because the camera was on and it just went off.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Somebody will do that. Somebody, please, brothers and sisters, if somebody can post up a picture and show her. But your tassel is supposed to be, have a blue ribbon. You're supposed to have a blue ribbon on your tassel. When you wear your tassel, you're supposed to have a blue ribbon like what I have here. I have this tassel right here. This is black. I don't know if you can see properly because where I am is not properly lit right now. I don't have enough. So this is what a tassel looks like. You can see how. I don't know if you can.
I'm not seeing.
Yeah, you can see, but I'm showing to the other people. You will see yours on the picture that they will post up for you. I'm showing to other people who are watching. This is my tassel right here. See how it's, it's a tassel, but it's kind of dark in here, so you can see it. But what I really want you to see right now is this right here. This is a ribbon of blue. So when you put your tassel, this right here can be any color. This can be any color. You can choose any color of tassel that you want. You can choose any color, whatever color you would like to wear, whatever color of this can be any color. But you must have a ribbon of blue. You have to have a ribbon of blue. And the reason for this is because of Deuteronomy chapter. The reason for this is because of Numbers chapter 15. So according to Numbers chapter 15, verse 37 to verse 41, Numbers 15, 37 to 41, the Most High told us to make a tassel and put in the four corners of our garment. We're to make tassel and put in the four corners of our garment. So, and everybody should be wearing this. There's no reason why you shouldn't be wearing tassel right now. There's no reason why, except if you're taking shower, if you're taking a bath or something, or if you're sleeping or whatever. But most of the time, you have to have your tassels on. It should be in all your clothes. You have to wear your tassel all the time. This is part of the commandment. If you do everything else, but you didn't wear your tassel, then you are breaking a law. Because according to Numbers chapter 15, verse 37 to 41, and also Deuteronomy chapter 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 12. According to these scriptures, you have to put tassels, and Yeshua wore tassel. Christ wore tassel. According to Matthew chapter 14. Matthew chapter 14, Yeshua wore tassel. Matthew chapter 14, from verse 34 to verse 36. Matthew 14, verse 34 to verse 36. And then also, let's look at that. Also, Luke chapter 8. Luke chapter 8, from verse 42, you see that Yeshua was wearing tassel. So in some Bible translations, they've changed the word and call it the border of his garment. That's what you get when the Gentiles translate the Bible, because they don't understand these things. So they call it the border of his garment or the hem of his garment. But if you really want to study this and you go and look at different translations, some translation will tell you that that was his tassels. So Yeshua was wearing a tassel. And you can see that in Matthew chapter 14. Matthew 14. So in Matthew chapter 14, if you read from verse 34, Matthew 14 from verse 34, you see that in verse 36, Matthew 14 from 34 to verse 36, it says in verse 36, and begged him that they might touch the hem of his garment, and as many as touched it were made perfectly whole. The same thing you see is a different situation in Luke chapter 8. Luke chapter 8, you will see a similar situation. So Yeshua wore tassel. Luke chapter 8, it says about the woman The woman with the flow of blood. If you remember that woman with the flow of blood for 12 years, she touched the tassels of Yeshua, and Yeshua asked, "Who touched me?" Read Luke chapter 8 from verse 40. That's where you're going to read the story of that woman, and Yeshua asked, "Who touched me?" And that she touched his tassel. So Christ wore tassel, and you have to be wearing tassel right now. You have to buy your tassel. Please go get your tassel and put your tassel on. The Most High says in Numbers chapter 15 from verse 34 that we have to make tassels and put in the four corners of our garment. This is what a tassel looks like. I'm trying to show it to you from a different garment. This is what it looks like, but it's kind of dark in here, so you may not be able to see it. You see how it's shaking? You see, this is it. This is what a tassel looks like here, with a ribbon of blue. So this is one of, I hope you can see it for those who are on YouTube. This is a garment with a tassel right here. It's a garment with a tassel. You see how it's shaking? You see this? I hope you can see it. So this is it. And there has to be a ribbon of blue. The tassel itself, you can choose any color. You can choose any color depending on the color of your clothes. Whatever color you want to choose, the tassel, you can choose any color. This, you have to have a blue. According to Numbers chapter 15, verse 37 to verse 41. You have to have a ribbon of blue. The tassel itself, whatever you want, whatever option you want, whatever color you want, that's up to you. This has to be a ribbon of blue. And I got a question the other day. Is it only for men? Absolutely not. For everyone. Everyone. If you have a brand new baby, if you're pregnant, as you're buying your baby clothes, you need to also be ready to put tassels on it. You have to put tassels on put a tassel on the cloth of your new baby. It's for babies, it's for grandmas, grandpa, it's for everyone. Everyone must wear a tassel. Everyone must put on their tassel. Everyone. So it's not just for men. It's for all the Hebrew Israelites, and also for the Gentiles. Also for the Gentiles that decide to keep the law. Like it says in Numbers chapter 15 verse 15. In the same Numbers chapter 15 that talks about the tassel, if you go up to verse 15 and verse 16, it does tell you that the same law he gave to the Hebrews applied to the strangers. Those strangers are strangers to the Hebrews, to non-Israelites. The same law applies to everyone forever. Forever. These laws applies to everyone forever. So it doesn't matter who you are or the color of your skin, you have to put on your tassel. You have to put on your tassel, and I've shown you what it looks like. I tried to show you the one that I'm wearing on my garment over here, and I showed you this one that I have nearby. So that's what a tassel is supposed to look like. And I showed you in the Gospel, Matthew chapter 14, verse 34 to verse 36, Luke chapter 8 from verse 40. These are places that you're going to see it. That it's very clear. We have to put on our tassels. So, sister, hopefully,
yes,
you will. If nobody posted the picture for you, I will do that when I get off here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So, do you have another question?
No, but the ribbon, you put the ribbon in yourself, because what I'm seeing is like it's beige in color. And there's another one, something like a purple one, but there's no ribbon in it. Did you put that yourself?
What you're seeing, where are you looking at a picture right now?
No, I went to the store. That's why I signed in late. But I wasn't sure which one to buy when they showed me.
You have to buy that ribbon. You have to buy that ribbon yourself. Like as you're buying your tassel, you have to buy the ribbon also. I mean,
okay.
The tassel itself, you can choose any color you want. That's up to you. You can have pink color, white color, yellow, but the ribbon has to be blue. Yes, you have to have a ribbon of blue. Yes.
Okay, well, when you're saying the four corners of your clothes, how do you get the four corners? I know I have two corners.
No, it's going to be, let's say you have it.
You're not wrong. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
are you putting it around, right around the garment, or in certain places? I'm not sure what I'm about to do.
Okay, so let's say you have a skirt.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so skirt. So you have a skirt. This is a bottle of water, right? Oh, you can't see it. You're not on YouTube. You're not on YouTube right now. You're talking to me on the phone, so you can't see my demonstration. Okay, that makes it a little bit difficult. So the border of your skirt or your dress, down at the line or at the end of your, I'm gonna do the demonstration anyway for those who are watching. Let's say this is your skirt, and it's round. Your skirt is round, just like this bottled water. This bottled water is round. It's a round color, round. So at the end, the end, the end of your skirt, that's where you put the tassel. So this right here is a robe. What I have here is a robe. This is a Hebrew robe. It's a robe. At the end, all the way at the end, this is hard for me to show you, but this is all the way at the bottom. You see, this is all the way. It goes from, you just put it at the end. Put it at the end of your skirt. That again, please someone help her out and post some pictures over here, or if not, Sister Brenda, if not, I will send you some pictures afterwards. But let's move on. On to other things. But unless if you have more questions, but if you have a question in terms of how to put the tassel, that's okay. I will send you a picture. But just put it at the end of your skirt, all around, right around your skirt. Right around your dress or your skirt. That's where you put it. If you're a man and you're wearing a shirt, put it at the end of your shirt, right around it, just right around the corner. The end of the shirt around the corner. That's where you put it. I do have a video called Dress Code for Hebrew People. Dress Code for God's People. I have a video called Dress Code for God's People. You can watch that video and you will see the pictures and everything. If you haven't watched that video, it has a lot of information about having clothes made with wool and linen and having all that. So I recommend that you watch it. It's called Dress Code for God's People.
I'm on YouTube Live now. I'm on YouTube Live.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn off the phone and look at you on YouTube.
Okay. So if you can see me, so let's say that this is your skirt and your skirt is round. Let's say that this is your skirt. Your skirt is round. At the end of it, that's where you put the tassel, all around of your skirt, all around. So if your skirt is all the way down to the ground, then your tassel is going to be touching the ground. That's where you put it, all around of your skirt. If you have a shirt, like a man, and you have a shirt, you put it at the end of the shirt, all around. That's where you put it. So, so that's that. I hope.
Yes, I understand now. Thank you. Yeah, I understand.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's go to. There are other questions. Other people. If you type in a question on here on the comment section, I only get to see it for about 3 seconds or 4 seconds and it disappears. So I recommend that you send it on the text message on the phone number that you see. You either get to send it to me as a text message, or you call in. You can call in if you want. You can call in the phone number that you see, or you can also call in through WhatsApp. You can also call in through WhatsApp. There's another question that I saw here briefly. Somebody was asking about animal. Again, I prefer that you call in through that phone number, or you call in through WhatsApp. Just save the phone number you see under this video. save it on your phone and call in through WhatsApp or text in through WhatsApp. But if you just type in a quick question on that comment section, I'm only able to see it for very briefly, and the question will go away. But I did saw something that somebody typed in and said, what about eating animals? I think your question has to do with, can we eat animals? Can we eat animals? I ran into somebody yesterday that said that we shouldn't eat animals. We shouldn't kill animals and eat animals. And the reason for her for saying that, is because she said that in the Ten Commandments, that we were told thou shalt not kill. So according to that person, because he said thou shalt not kill in the Ten Commandments, so because of that, we're not allowed to eat animal. And then I asked the person, so we are not supposed to kill animal and eat animal because it says in the Ten Commandments that thou shalt not kill. And they were very serious about this. So my question for them was, what do you do to a rapist? Somebody that committed a very, 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 very wicked crime. What do you do to somebody like that? Sister Brenda, if you no longer have any question, could you mute yourself?
Sorry.
Yeah. So my question for that person was, what do you do to maybe like killers, people that kill people? What do you do to them? And they didn't really answer that question very well. So the question that I saw that somebody was asking a moment ago or some moments ago about, can we eat animal? Yes, we can, because according to Exodus chapter 12, we were told to kill, to prepare a lamb for Passover, which is Passover is coming up very soon. We're about to celebrate the Passover. So in a normal circumstances, assuming that the temple is still standing right now, assuming that the Hebrews are in their land, we will kill a lamb. So the Most High gave us these animals. It's very clear in Leviticus chapter 11. Deuteronomy chapter 14, these places shows us that we can eat animals. It's very clear in Leviticus chapter 11. The Most High told us the kind of animals that we should eat and the ones we should not eat. It's clear. I mean, anybody that says that we cannot eat animals, that person has no regard for the law of the Most High. Because in Leviticus chapter 11, it makes it very clear. You can eat a lamb, you can eat goat, cow, you cannot eat pig, you cannot eat horse, you cannot eat a dog, you can eat cat. When it comes to the ocean, we're only allowed to eat anything that has fins and scales. Anything that has fins and scales. That excludes lobster, shrimp, shark, and a lot of other fishes we cannot eat. But we can eat any fish that has fins and scales. You know, when you see the tail of the fish is like this, and then that's the fins, and then you can take out their scales. Any fish that you can remove the scales and they have fins, that fish is clean for you. So according to the law in Leviticus chapter 11, Deuteronomy chapter 14, and Exodus chapter 12, where we're told to eat a lamb, we can eat animals. There are people that say that we can't. There are even people that claim to be Hebrews or claim to be obeying the Most High, but they speak against eating animals. Now, if you don't want to eat animals, that's fine. That's okay. even at this time right now that we don't have the temple, the Hebrews has been scattered in the four corners of the earth. If you choose not to eat any meat on the Passover, that's okay. Why? Because right now at this moment, the priests and the temple is not available to be able to prepare that Passover the way it's supposed to be prepared. Because you can't just kill a lamb in your house and just eat it. No, it has to be done. There's a certain way that it needs to be prepared before we can eat it. So, but we don't have the temple, and those animal sacrifices, the animal sacrifices has been suspended. I did not say abolish. No. Yeshua Christ told you in Matthew chapter 4 or Matthew chapter 5, Matthew 5:17-19, that all the laws are still in effect. All the laws, including the animal sacrifices, they're all still in effect. In Malachi chapter 2, in Malachi, it tells you that when Yeshua returns, he's going to refine the Levites. He will refine the Levites, and they will go back and serve the Most High and do the sacrifices and do the offerings and do things the way they used to do it in the past. We don't have the temple right now. The Levites have no idea who they are. So that's why, so if you choose that you don't want to eat meat right now, you're not committing any sin. It's not a sin to choose not to eat meat right now. If you were around in the wilderness, if you were around in the land of Israel, whether you like it or not, you must eat meat. You must eat meat. You must partake in the Passover. So we don't have Hebrew Israelite vegetarians running around at that time. No. Right now you can choose not to eat meat, that's fine. But if you plan to make it into the kingdom and things like you see, these are some of the crap that we learn from the Gentiles, But the scripture in Leviticus chapter 11 makes it very clear. The scripture in Leviticus chapter 11 and Deuteronomy chapter 14 and Leviticus 11 makes it clear that we can eat meat. So that's the answer to that question. You can check out those scriptures. Let's see. Again, I do remind between the questions that you're more than welcome to call in. You're more than welcome to call in. You're more than welcome to call the phone number you see at the bottom of the screen, and you are also more than welcome to call in through WhatsApp. Through the WhatsApp, take that phone number you see and save it on your phone and go into your WhatsApp, and you should be able to see Coming Kingdom Broadcast. You can call in or text in. When you have a question, I prefer to talk to you. I prefer to talk to you if you call in. If you type in your question, again, that question comes in my face here, and then it disappears. It disappears within 3 seconds. 2 or 3 seconds, it's gone. So that's not really a good way to send in your questions. You can send it as a text message. Put the number on your phone and just send a text message, or call the phone number, or do it through Skype. It's easier that way. Okay, so let's see what was posted here. Okay, all right. Before we get to this one, there's something that somebody posted up. There's a question, and it's a very good question, and that's why this broadcast is very, very good, because you get to see all these questions that you may not even be thinking about. You get to, like for example, when we started off today, there was a question about whether the full moon is the new moon. We went to the scripture and we saw what the scripture says, that the dark moon is the new moon, not the full moon. When the moon is dark, that is the new moon, according to Enoch chapter 77 verse 14. I think the second question that we dealt with, the second question was about, it could be about the tassel, I think. It was the one that we just dealt with about the tassel. So we try to go through the scripture and see what the scripture says about these things. And then now about eating meat. We can eat meat. If you choose not to eat meat, that's up to you. You're not committing any sin if you don't. But the law in Leviticus chapter 15, chapter 11, and Deuteronomy chapter 14 say that we can eat meat. And we're told to eat meat on the Passover. So these are biblical. So the good thing about this broadcast, and we're going to be on every Tuesday. The good thing about it is that if you participate, you may end up learning something that you were not even thinking about. A law that you may not even think about. Something that, so like the question that someone is asking is, are women only supposed to cover their hair when they are praying or when they are prophesying? That's a good question. If you're a woman, you want to know. Is it only when you are praying or when you are prophesying? That's a legitimate question. Very good question. Oh, and then the question was, okay, so see, that's the thing. I can't go to that question right now because I can't touch it. I can't see it. That's why I said to send it through text message. You ask that question, I see it. It shows up for like 3 seconds and it's gone. So now if I'm trying to refer to it, it's kind of like, so please text in your question or call in. Call in. In most congregations, in most of the time, when you're dealing with the Torah, especially if you are a woman, you may not have an opportunity because the Bible says that you should not ask questions in the congregation. You can ask your husband at home. So this is a different platform that we're meeting, not as a congregation. It's an open platform live on the internet where you can ask questions. So why wouldn't you want to call in? If you call in, I'm not going to say, no, I won't talk to you because you're a woman, because we're not in a congregation right now. So you can call in, so it's an opportunity. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to take that opportunity and call in. Even those that, like you saw about 2-3 days ago, the person that called in that was saying what she was saying, some Hebrew Israelites will not talk to her. They would have hanged up on her. But I did not do that. I didn't do that because I'm not scared of what you're going to bring up. Because when I show things, I try to show it from the scriptures. So I'm not scared or worried that, you may prove me wrong, or you're going to expose something, or you're going to prove me. No, because what we deal with, I try to deal with it from the scriptures. So you are more than welcome to call in. If you choose, you can call through Skype or text a message. So the question that we're about to deal with right now is that this person asked this question, and the question was, are women supposed to only cover their hair when they are praying and prophesying, or are they supposed to cover their hair all the time? That is a good question. So what we're going to do is that we're going to first of all go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Let's read that a little bit and see, because that's where, when you talk about praying and prophesying, that was written in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So let's read that, and then we'll look at other places in the scripture where women was covering their hair. And then we'll also, this is a beautiful question. Thank you, whoever you are. I don't know who you are. I wish you called on the phone. I wish I could talk to you, but I want to thank you for bringing this up. Thank you very much for bringing this up, because this is a very good question. Very, very good question. This is more than this is going to be more than a simple broadcast. This is going to be a university or something, a place to learn the scriptures. So I'm very happy that you asked this question. I don't know who you are, but may Yah bless you for bringing this up, because if you're a woman and you do cover your hair, you may be wondering when you read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, are you supposed to only cover when you are praying and prophesying? Or that's a good question. Thank you so much, and may Yah bless you for asking this question. So let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and we'll start from there. And for others, you're still more than welcome to call in. Do that. I prefer to speak to you on the phone than to just be going through text message. You can call in through Skype or or through the phone number that you see. If you're watching this on a video, and we are no longer on live, you're just watching the video, you're still more than welcome to call the phone number. I will still answer you even when I get off of even when I'm no longer live. I can still answer your phone if you call that number. Okay, so 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Let's start from the beginning. Everyone, if you can please read along. The reason why we're coming to 1 Corinthians chapter 11 is because this question is based, the two words we see, praying and prophesying, came from 1 Corinthians chapter 11. And then the person that asked this question say, are you only supposed to cover your hair when you're praying and prophesying, or all the time? So let's start from the beginning of the question and see where Paul mentioned this, and then we can go back into the Torah and see other places. All right, so 1 Corinthians chapter 11, starting from verse 1, it says this: Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the traditions just as I delivered them to you. I'm reading from New King James. New King James. Now I praise you, brethren, that you remember me in all things, and keep the traditions just as I delivered them to you. Verse 3. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of woman is man, and the head of Christ is Elohim. Verse 4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonors his head. Verse 5. But every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. For that is one as the same as if her head were shaved. Verse 6, 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 6. For if a woman is not covered, let her also be shorn. But if it is shameful for a woman to be shorn or shaved, let her be covered. Verse 7, for a man indeed ought to not cover his head, since he is the image of Elohim. But woman is the glory of man. Verse 8, for man is not from woman, but woman from man. Verse 10, nor was a man created for the woman, but woman for the man. Verse 11, for this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her head because of the angels. Verse 11, nevertheless, neither is man independent of woman, nor woman independent of man in Yeshua. Verse 12, for as woman came from man, even so man also comes through woman. But all things are from Elohim. Verse 13, 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 13. We're dealing with the question, should women cover their hair only when they are praying, or only when they are praying and prophesying, or should they cover their hair all the time? That's the question we're dealing with. Verse 13, 1 Corinthians 11:13. Judge among yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to Elohim with her hair uncovered? Verse 14. Does not even nature itself teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him? But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her, for her hair is given to her for a covering. Verse 16, but if anyone seems to be contentious, we have no such custom, nor do the congregations of Elohim. Okay. That's 1 Corinthians chapter 11, where it deals with covering hair when you are praying or prophesying. The question is, should women only cover their hair when they are praying and prophesying, or should they cover their hair all the time? So we've seen 1 Corinthians and we see what it says about covering your hair when you're praying or prophesying. But we're going to look at few points in this place. It also mentioned the book. It mentions the angels. Now, for those of you that was on here from the beginning today, we were studying about when the full moon is. And there was a brother that mentioned that some people are saying that the book of Enoch is not scripture. When Paul tells you that women should cover their hair because of the angels, Paul was referring to the book of Enoch, chapter 7, chapter 8, and chapter 9. You need to read it. Paul was referring to the book of Enoch when he says that women should cover their hair because of the angels. But he doesn't tell you what he meant. But if you do know the scripture, you know exactly what he's talking about. Example, when Yeshua says to Satan, "A man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that came from the mouth of Yah." If you know the scripture, you don't need to be told that Yeshua was quoting Deuteronomy chapter 8 and Deuteronomy chapter 9. A man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that came from the mouth of Yah. So these people that you see in the scriptures, Paul, Yeshua, Mark, Peter, they were quoting the prophets of old. Like Enoch. Peter quoted Enoch. Paul was quoting Enoch right here, 1 Corinthians chapter 11, when he made a statement that women should cover their hair because of the angels. You may be scratching your head and wondering, what the hell does that mean? What he was talking about there, if you know what the angels did with the women, then you will know what Paul was talking about. So this is a very interesting book. The scripture is very interesting. If you don't understand the beginning, you cannot understand the end. When you go to a store and buy a book, you don't start reading from the middle or from the end. You start from the beginning. The Bible is the only book that people buy and they start from the middle. Self-deception. Deceiving yourselves because you don't want to keep those laws. That's why you don't want to read over there. That's why you claim that it's done away with. So when Paul tells you that women should cover their hair all the time, when Paul said that women should cover their hair, that's what he said. He didn't say all the time. He said women should cover their hair because of the angels. He was referring to the book of Enoch, because the book of Enoch is the place that gave you a detailed information of how the angels lusted after women. Oh my goodness, we're going through something deep right now. I hope that you can really pay attention. The book of Enoch is where you see how angels lusted after women. The end result was sex. Are you familiar with the book of Tobit? Because right now, I know you're thinking right now, you're like, wait a minute. Are you saying that the angels had sex with women? How is that possible? They are angels. I know that's what you're thinking. If you read in the book of Tobit, you see an angel that came down took on a human flesh. If you pinch him, blood will, if you pinch him, he'll be like, ow, why are you pinching me? If you stab him, blood will come out. Because he took on a flesh like a human. Yeshua is alive right now. Yeshua is alive right now. Speaking of Enoch, he is alive. He is like mean that he exists somewhere right now. But in heaven, where Yeshua are, or where Yah is. Elijah, Enoch, Yeshua, these three men. These are men that did not die. They exist in heaven right now. Like I read earlier in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. We're dealing with spiritual stuff over here. Those who are not keeping the law of the Most High will not understand what I'm talking about. Because the things of Yah is foolishness to a natural man. It doesn't make sense to a natural man. So when it says that angels had sex with women, you may be thinking, wait, I thought that angels was angels. What do you mean that they had sex with women? If you read in the book of Tobit, according to the book of Tobit, you will read about an angel coming down to help that family. An angel came down to help them. They did not know that was an angel until way towards the end. That was when he revealed himself. But they thought he was a regular person. You might run into an angel in a parking lot, in a store. You may not even know it. Angels do come down on missions. The Most High God do send them on missions to come and do stuff on the earth. Yeshua, well, that's what you see with Yeshua. When Yeshua came, Yeshua existed all the way before he was born by Mary. That was not the beginning of Yeshua. But he came in as a human, took on a human flesh. That's why you see in the book of John, at the beginning of John chapter 4, you see that he was kind of tired and thirsty because he had a human flesh. So that's what you see in the book. That's what you see in the. So what you read in the book of Enoch about those angels having sex with those women, lusting after them, and then having sex with them. That's possible because those angels, again, they, like examples I just gave you. I hope that you understand it. So back to 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Paul said that women should cover their hair because of the angels. But he doesn't tell you, he doesn't go into details because Paul assumes that those who are going to be reading this are going to know what he's talking about. Let's go to Romans quickly. Romans chapter 7. Paul said this in Romans chapter 7. Read this real quick. I just want to show you something. Romans chapter 7. Before we come back to 1 Corinthians and deal with the hair covering for women. And men also. So Romans chapter 7. So this is what Paul is thinking. Let me show you what Paul is thinking about you. So Paul says in Romans chapter 7 from verse 1. Romans 7 from verse 1. Or do you not know, brethren, for I speak to those who know the law, that the law has dominion over a man as long as he lives? Oh no, you're not going to hear this one in the church. Paul tells you that law has dominion over a man as long as he is alive. But he also tells you that he's speaking to those that know the law. Most of your preachers today don't know the law. How can they teach you the law? How can they teach you the Bible? So when Paul made the statement that he made in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, he was assuming that whoever is going to read he was assuming that the people that he was, the people that he was writing to in Corinth, they were familiar with the book of Enoch. Jude quoted the book of Enoch in Jude chapter 1 verse 14. He quotes the book of Enoch. Peter quotes the book of Enoch. So Paul was assuming that you will know what he was talking about. And that's for those that say that the book of Enoch was not scripture, or it's not scripture. So, these are the point we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. First, he tells you that women should cover their hair because of the angels. You can go to book of Enoch chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9, and read and see what happened there about with the angels and messing around with the women and getting them pregnant, and the result was a disaster, which is, a complete disaster. That actually happened. Okay, so 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So let's look at this point. Again, the question we're dealing with right now is, should women only cover their hair when they are praying or prophesying? Or should they cover their hair all the time? That's the question. You are more than welcome to send in your own question. You can call the phone number that you see, and you can text in on the phone number that you see. You can also call through WhatsApp. Our WhatsApp is now ready and good to go. You can save that number on your phone and call through WhatsApp. You call right now, it's going to ring over here and I'll be able to see it. You can call through WhatsApp. You can send in a message through WhatsApp. You're more than welcome to do that. I don't have much time left here before we finish. So you can do that right now. So the first point we see in 1 Corinthians, before we go to other places that talked about hair covering, the first point we see here is that it says that women should cover because of the angels. And then he goes on to say, here's another point. And this point will tell you whether women should cover all the time or only when they're praying and prophesying. And of course, other scriptures that we're going to look at will show you that. Okay, so another point here is, it says, here in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, let's see from verse 8 and verse 9 and verse 10. It says, for man is not from woman. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 from verse 8. For man is not from woman, but woman from man. Nor was man created for the woman, but woman for the man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority. For this reason, a woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her hair because of the angels. Verse 9. Nor was man created for the woman, but woman was for the man. Woman was created for the man. Verse 10. For this reason, the woman ought, please, this point is very important as we get to the other places that talked about hair covering. You wanna don't forget this point, because you're going to see it being put in action in other places. So don't forget this. So it says, for this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her hair because of the angels. So it gave you two reasons, because of the angels and also because she was created for the man. So these are the things that we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 11. It said that women should cover their hair. Their hair shouldn't be uncovered when they are praying and prophesying. Then it goes on to make other points. Okay. So now let's go to... where should we start? Let's go to Genesis 24. The question is, should women only cover their hair when they are praying and prophesying, or should they cover their hair all the time? That is the question. We've seen 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Let's go to Genesis 24. Okay, so in Genesis 24, you begin to read about how the arranged marriage went down between Isaac and Rebekah. Abraham told his servant to go find a wife, get a wife for Isaac. Abraham was very old at that point. He couldn't do it himself. And he didn't want his son to marry from another people, other nation. He wanted his son to marry from his own people. That's what Hebrews do. We don't marry from other nation. We don't do that. And you can see that in Genesis 24. They had to travel all the way to a different place to go find a wife for him from his own people. So, if you come down, let's start from it's a very long chapter, up to chapter 67. So let's, to be able to understand what we're reading, let's start from verse 65. You can read the whole chapter at your own time by yourself. So we're trying to get to, we're looking for something about hair covering. And we're trying to see, we've seen 1 Corinthians chapter 11. So let's get to Genesis 24. Let's start from verse 55. Verse 55, let me give you an idea of what happened here. These men that Abraham sent, they found Rebekah. She was a young girl, a virgin, young little girl. She was not a woman. She was not a 35 years old woman. She was not a 25 years old woman. She was a maiden, a damsel. They are usually around 12, 13 when they are called that. They are brand new, virgin, ready for marriage. They've seen their period. Speaking of period, also in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 36. 1 Corinthians chapter 7. 1 Corinthians 7:36. When Paul says that if a girl have seen her flower, if she has seen her flower, talking about, he's addressing the men, and he said that if you feel like you're lusting after your woman, or lusting after your girl, or your woman, or your girl, if she has seen the flower of her age, let them marry. Now, Paul stopped there. But those that was around that time and those that do know the Torah will understand exactly what Paul was talking about. Most pastors will not be able to tell you what Paul was talking about. When he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 36, when Paul says that if a girl has seen her flower, let her marry. Most pastors will not be able to tell you what is being talked about there. But if you go to Leviticus chapter 15, if you read Leviticus chapter 15, around verse 24, and then in verse 30, 31, you will see what Paul was talking about. That flower there is the blood. If she has seen her first period, she's ready for marriage. That typically happens, it depends for the girl. Some girls will see their period when they are like 8. Some they see their period when they are 9, 10, 11. Some may even see it at the age of 15. But according to the scriptures, a girl is ready for marriage when she sees her period. But today, these filthy Gentiles will speak against it. They have no problem with that girl having a boyfriend and having sex. You see little girls, like 7, people will be laughing. Oh, she has a boyfriend. Ooh, she has a boyfriend. And it's supposed to be funny. Oh, she has a boyfriend. Ooh. But when a girl who is 12 gets married, they're like, what? That's disgusting. That's gross. That's child abuse. She's a child. But she can have a boyfriend and have sex with her boyfriend. So How old do you think Mary was when she gave birth to Yeshua? How old do you think she was? So you see in the Bible, you see women getting married. How old was Dinah, Jacob's daughter? She was 12. I wonder why Yah did not, I wonder why, there was no, I guess maybe that slipped or something. Okay, so, but that's just to give you an idea. So when this girl, the reason why we went this route right now, I hope that you may pick up one or two things from what I just said. But Rebecca over here was not a adult. She was a young girl. Rebecca that we're reading about was a young girl when when Isaac married her. She was a damsel. They're usually around the age of 12. 12, 13, because according to the Hebrew culture and according to the Torah, according to the Bible, a girl is ready for marriage when she sees her period. That's it. That's when they typically get married. Mary got married around the age of 12, 13. She got around the age of 12, 13. Mary, they've made a big effort to remove these things in the Bible. You begin to see number and age in the scripture, but that's one of the reasons why they created the book of Genesis out of the book of Jubilee. The book of Genesis came from Jubilee. That's where you're going to see the full information of some of these things. So, but anyway, I'm not going to get into the reason why they do this, because that's not what we're studying right now. But the Rebecca we're reading about here was not an old woman. Rebecca was young. She was a young girl. Okay, so it says, and then they arranged the marriage and everything. And you can see that they also gave her a maid because she was a young girl. So her family gave her a maid to help her because she was a very young girl. That we don't finish high school before we get married. We don't finish college before we get married. Get married at a very young age for the women, for the boys. As soon as they learn a skill and they can make their own living, they're ready for marriage. It's done at a very young age. As soon as a girl begins to see her period, she has turned into a woman. At that point, if you touch her, she gets pregnant. Why do you think that's the case? But today the devil have told you that you have to wait until your daughter finishes college, because the devil wants to steal the virginity of your daughter. That's why they do this. But they have all these lies that they, all these things that they do they try to pretend as if they care about your child. They don't give a damn about your child. These are agents of Satan who have put all these systems in place so that your daughter will lose her virginity, which is actually when she loses her virginity, that's when she becomes the wife of the person she lost her virginity. So that's why these people speak against it. I think it was Muhammad that married a 9-year-old girl. And even till this day, these Gentiles are still speaking against it. But if you do understand the Torah, you know that there was nothing wrong with that. There are those that claim to believe in God and want to worship God that sees something wrong with that, even though the Bible clearly did not condemn that. That's what the Bible says. That's when a girl is ready for marriage. So that's the situation that Rebecca was in. That's the reason why they gave her a maid, which we are going to read right now. We're still dealing with head covering. You may be wondering, what does this have to do with head covering? Because eventually we're going to read about Rebecca covering her hair. But it's very important to point this out because they want to give you the impression that girls are married when they are after college. There was no college back then, and the Most High doesn't want us to go to those wicked colleges and universities. It's from Satan, because they're going to steal the soul of your. They're going to deceive and brainwash, indoctrinate your children over there with all kinds of filth that they're teaching. That the world is billions of years old. It's okay to be whoever you want to be. It's not okay for me to be a woman, and it's not okay for you, a woman, to be a man. But these people, these are children. People we're sending our children to. We're not supposed to be doing that. So Genesis chapter 24. Genesis chapter 24 from verse 55. Let's start from verse 52, so that we can understand what's happening here before we get to the head covering. Genesis 24 from verse 52. Genesis 24 from verse 52. And it came to pass, when Abraham's servant heard their words, that he worshipped Yah, bowing himself to the earth. Then the servant brought out jewelry out of silver, jewelry of gold, and clothing, and gave them to Rebekah. He also gave precious things to her brother and to her mother. Verse 54, Genesis 24:54. Genesis 24:54. And he and the men who were with him ate and drank and stayed all night. Then they arose in the morning, and he said, Send me away to my master. But her brother and her mother said, Let the young girl or damsel stay with us a few days. At least 10. After that she may go. Verse 56. And he said to them, Do not hinder me, since Yah has prospered my way. Send me away so that I may go to my master. Verse 57. So they said, We will call the young girl and ask her personally. Verse 58. Then they called Rebekah and said to her, Will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. Verse 59. So they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse. Why would Rebekah need a nurse? Someone to serve her. Why would she need someone to help her if she's a grown woman? This is what you see in different places in the scripture. She's a young girl. A virgin. It also tells you that she's a virgin. She was a virgin that no man has touched. It tells you that in the same chapter. That's why I recommend that you read the whole chapter. Read the whole chapter yourself so that you can be able to kind of, understand exactly what's going on. But we're reading and we're trying to get to the part where it talks about head covering. So it says that in verse 59, Genesis 24:59. So they sent away Rebekah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. Verse 60. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, Our sister, may you become the mother of thousands, of tens of thousands, and may your descendant possesses the gate of those who hate them. Verse 61. This is Genesis 24:61. Then Rebekah and her maids arose, and they rode on the camel and followed the men. So the servant took Rebekah and departed. Verse 62. Now Isaac came from the way of Beer-lahai Roi, for he dwelt in the south. Verse 63. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field in the evening, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and there the camel were coming. Verse 64. Then Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from her camel. Verse 65. For she had said to the servant, Who is this man walking in the field to meet us? The servant said, It is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. Verse 66. And the servant told Isaac all the things that he had done. Verse 67. Then Isaac brought her into his mother's Sarah's tent. And he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. That was when this marriage happened. When he took her into his mother's tent and they consummated that marriage, she became his wife. There was no church wedding. There was no government wedding, church wedding, court wedding, engagement ring. There was none of that. But she still became his wife. So we're looking at verse 55. Verse 65, it said, when she said to, for she had said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? The servant said, it is my master. So she took veil and covered herself. So let's describe the scene. What was going on here? This was a long journey, and they did this with a camel. So they were the one doing the driving. You can call it driving. And she was pretty much in the back. She was in the back and while they were doing the driving. So it was a long journey. So she was basically in her private space, if you want to call it that. Like you can imagine somebody in a horse carriage. Imagine someone in a horse carriage. It's like a car, really. It's almost like a car. The person who is riding the horse is in front. You yourself, you're chilling and relaxing in the back because it was a long journey. If you say something, they can hear you because you guys are very close, but you're more of, they are doing the driving while you're relaxing. So she looks out and saw this man, and she was like, who is that man? And the servant says, oh, it's my master or my master's son. So she took a veil and covered herself. But she wasn't getting ready to pray. Rebekah was not getting ready to pray in this case. She wasn't getting ready to prophesy. She took a veil and covered her hair. Another place we can look at is, let's look at Numbers chapter 5. Numbers chapter 5. Numbers chapter 5. And then we'll get to the reason why. Of course, actually, 1 Corinthians have already told us the reason why. She covered why. So from 1 Corinthians, what we read earlier in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 10, as a sign of authority, over her hair. So let's go to Numbers. Let's go to Numbers chapter 5, and we're going to see something else that Yah speaks about a veil. Yah speaks about a woman covering her hair or taking off her veil. So Numbers chapter 5, Yah speaks about that, a woman who has a veil on her head. Yah said something. Numbers chapter 5 verse 18. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it actually starts from verse 11, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. But again, you can write it down and read it at your own time. Read the whole chapter. Everywhere that we read, I recommend that you read the whole chapter at your own time. Okay, so Numbers chapter 5. What's going on here is that this is about if there is a suspicion that if there's a suspicion that there's a sexual sin, if a man suspects, if a spirit of jealousy comes on a man and he begins to suspect that his wife committed adultery, there were things that's supposed to be done, going to the priest and making inquiries and asking Yah and taking the oaths and all that. That's what's going on here. So that's what's up. Yah Yah was giving us a law of what is supposed to happen in that case, or if there's any suspicion or anything like that. So we see in Numbers chapter 5, in verse 18, it says, then the priest shall stand the woman before Yah, uncover the woman's head, and put the offering for remembering in her hands. So it says that eventually when they come in front of the priest shall uncover the woman's head. So that veil that she has on her hair, the priest shall uncover that in order to do this process, in order to do what needs to be done here. The priest shall uncover the woman, uncover her veil, or uncover her hair. That's what it says. But that doesn't mean like, uncovering her is to take off her veil that she had on. That's what it means, that the priest should uncover the woman. Again, as we go on, please feel free to call in. Feel free to call or text the phone number you see there. Or you can also call in through WhatsApp. If you have any question, whether a new question or whether in regards to what we're dealing with right now, you are more than welcome to call in if you wish. If you have any question, feel free to do that. So okay, so we clearly see in Numbers chapter 5 verse 18, where Yah is saying that eventually when they get to the priest, before the priest will do the what needs to be done, that the priest should take away the woman's should uncover the woman's head, uncover her head. So that's what we see in Numbers chapter 5 verse 18. Another place we should go is the book of Ruth chapter 3. Ruth chapter 3. So again, as you can see in Numbers chapter 5, this woman was not praying. Read the whole chapter from verse 11. Actually, that's where you read about this issue. She wasn't praying at that point. She wasn't prophesying, but she still has a covering on her hair. That's what Yah said, that it needs to be uncovered before the priest will go ahead and place something in her hand and go ahead and do what needs to be done. But she wasn't praying at that very moment. Okay, let's go to Ruth chapter 3. Ruth, a very interesting book. I also recommend reading the book of Ruth. If you haven't read the book of Ruth, you need to read it. You will also see arranged marriage. Her mother-in-law arranged her new marriage. Her mother-in-law arranged for the man that will marry her. Or the man that ended up marrying her. So today, the Gentiles who speak against arranged marriage, they will want you to let your daughter lose her virginity before she gets married, which is not biblical in the sight of Yah. That's ridiculous if you allow that to happen. The Most High have already told you in Jeremiah chapter 10 verse 11, chapter 10 verse 2, learn not the ways of the Gentiles. Learn not the ways of the Gentiles. If you have a child, if you have a son, and you're waiting for your son to go to university, go to this, you're wasting your time. Your son needs to go and learn a skill. He can be an electrician, a carpenter, a whatever he wants to be. He needs to do it, learn it quickly, so that he can have his own skill. So that wherever he goes in the world, he will be able to make a living. And he wouldn't have to deal with some Gentiles that will tell him that he can't keep the Sabbath because he has to work for them. That's what happens when your child has a degree. When your son has a degree, when you send your son to go get those degrees, that's what happens. Your son ends up being a slave. When you send over your daughter to go to those universities and colleges and high school and all that, she's gonna, I guarantee you, by the time she comes out of college, she will lose her virginity. I'm giving you that as a guarantee. It doesn't matter what you teach her. If she spent 4 years in college, eventually those people in college will get to her. Eventually she will lose her virginity, and the Most High will hold you responsible for that, because He told you in Leviticus 19 to not cause your daughter to be a prostitute. Do not cause your daughter to be a whore. The Most High was very clear on that. Do not cause your daughter to be a prostitute. He tells you that in Leviticus 19. When you put your daughter in a situation where she will be tempted to lose her virginity and it happens, the Most High will hold you responsible, because he tells you in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 46, that you have to teach your children the law. But when you are disobeying the Most High and going against what he told you in Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2, not to learn the ways of the heathen, the ways of the Gentile, the people that run this world right now, the Europeans that run this world with their universities, with their hospitals, their entertainment, their TVs, their all this stuff, these are from them. Their churches, their Christianity, these are the things of the Gentiles that we want to stay away from. Their high schools, middle schools, colleges. You are going against the Most High when you send your children to the heathens of this world right now. These are the heathens of this world, and they are not ashamed. They are proud to be heathen. They are proud to not have anything to do with the law of the Most High. They don't want to have anything to do with the law of the Most High. These are people that you want to educate your children? Are you serious? It tells me a lot about you and your relationship with the Most High and how serious you are. Because eventually your daughter is going to throw away her virginity, and 2 years from now, 3 years from now, she'll be regretting when she realizes that her losing her virginity is what makes marriage. When she realizes that, but she's giving it away to some little devil. She's throwing it away and giving it to a dog. When she realizes, and once it's gone, it's gone. Once it's gone, it's gone. So you need to train your children, like it says in Titus chapter 2. Train your daughter and teach her how to be a mother, how to raise children, how to be a mother, how to love her husband. If she has seen her period, she's ready for marriage. You need to start finding a husband for her right now. Right now. You need to start finding a husband for her. I know this may sound crazy to you, but it really depends on who you are. Like we read in 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14. 1 Corinthians 2:14 tells us that the things of Yah, it doesn't make sense to a natural man. The things of the Spirit, what I'm giving you here is the things of the Spirit. Those who don't really care about the law of the Most High, it doesn't make sense to them. But that's why I say it depends on who you are. So if you go to the book of Ruth, So the book of Ruth deals with this woman. Her husband dies. This girl, she was a girl. She was a young girl. And you can see that when you read the whole chapter, the whole book. It's not too much. It's only 4 chapters. The book of Ruth is only 4 chapters. So she was a young girl. Her husband dies. Her mother-in-law told her to go. Leave. Get out of here. Go and marry. You're too young to be here. You are too young. You see that in the book of Ruth. You are too young. Go. My son is dead. So please go and find someone else. Go and get married, because you're too young to be here and be a widow. You're too young. You can find another husband. She refused to go. She would rather stay with her mother-in-law. So we have a situation. Eventually, her mother-in-law decided to arrange for somebody to marry her. And that's when you come to chapter 3. So chapter 3, we see that, let's see, chapter 3, verse 15. But we're going to move up a little bit to see if we can catch up, So anyway, her mother-in-law told her, let me see where we start so we can cover that. Let's see. Okay, let's start from verse 11. So Ruth, chapter 3:11. Ruth 3:11. It says, "And now, my daughter, do not fear. I will do for you all that you request. For all the people of my town know that you are a virtuous woman. Verse 12. Now, it is true that I am a close relative. However, there is a relative closer than I. Stay this night. In the morning, it shall be that if he will not perform the duty of a close relative for you, good, let him, if he will. So this is the man that her mother-in-law is arranging to marry her. But that man is saying, I am not the one who is first in line, but let's wait and talk to him. If he doesn't want to marry you, then I will marry you. Because at that point, Ruth was a widow. Her husband died. So her mother-in-law is trying to arrange for another man to marry her. Her mother-in-law tried to let her to go and go find a husband somewhere else. She loved her mother-in-law so much that she didn't want to leave her. She doesn't want to go away from her mother-in-law. So she followed her mother-in-law back to Jerusalem. And her mother-in-law was now trying to arrange another husband for her. So that was the man speaking here. So the man says to her mother-in-law, send her over. Her mother-in-law sent her over to go to this man. But the man did not want to touch her because her mother-in-law wanted that man to have sex with her, which will become, will mean marriage at that point. That's how you consummate marriage. If a girl is a virgin, when she has sex for the first time, in the eyes of the Most High, she becomes the wife of whoever she lost her virginity to, according to Deuteronomy chapter 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verse 28 and 29. So anyway, what's going on here is that man was now speaking to her after her mother-in-law sent her over to that man at night to go spend the night with that man. So it says in verse 14, verse 13, stay this night, and in the morning it shall be, if he will perform the duty of a close relative for you, good, let him do it. But if he does not want to perform the duty for you, then I will perform the duty for you, as Yah lives. Lie down until morning. Do you remember where the Messiah said that if a man dies and he has a wife, and he has no children, but he has a wife, his brother is supposed to take over? The Messiah said if a man has a wife and he dies, but his wife has no child, his relative is encouraged, not by force, it's not a must. His relatives are encouraged to marry that woman and have children with that woman. If the man said that he doesn't want to do it, okay, fine. But he's highly encouraged so that when he marries that woman, whatever child that woman has will become the child of the dead man. That's what this man is talking about here. The man is saying to Ruth. The man is saying to Ruth over here in Ruth chapter 3, I am not the first person who is in line to marry you, because her husband was dead. So this man is saying to Ruth, I am not the first person who is in line to marry you. Wait in the morning, sleep here and wait in the morning. Tomorrow we'll find out. If that man refuses to marry you, then I will do it. But if he decides to marry you, then he will marry you, because I'm not the first in line. This man is an honest man, a righteous man. Most men would have had sex with her and keep their mouth shut that night. But he is saying, no, I want to do this right. Let's wait. We're going to ask the person who is much closer to you. If he says that he doesn't want to marry you, then I will go ahead and marry you. So let's continue to read. So it says in verse 14. Ruth chapter 3 verse 14. So she lay at his feet until morning, and she arose before one could recognize another. This is at dawn, very early in the morning. She rose up very early in the morning. Then he said, do not let it be known that the woman or that the girl or the woman came to this threshing floor. He was talking to his servant. The man was talking to his servant, not to let anybody know that this woman came over here. Because, you know, it's like, you know, she will potentially be the wife of this other man. So it doesn't look good if they see her walking out there very early in the morning. So he was telling his servant, don't let anybody know that she came here. He wasn't trying to hide anything because he did not have sex with her. So he wasn't trying to hide anything, but he was trying to maintain the integrity of Ruth. He was trying to protect her integrity because it doesn't look good that she's walking out here very early in the morning. People are going to be like, wait a minute, why is Ruth coming out from this man's house this so early? That doesn't look good. So that's why and besides, he did not ask her to come. It was her mother-in-law that told her to go. So her visit to this man was a surprise to him. Her mother-in-law was hoping that this man will marry her. But the man is saying, hey, wait a minute, let's do it right. Let's do it biblically. Let's do it right. If the person who is supposed to do it, if he doesn't do it, then I will do it. So in verse 15, this man says to Ruth, and he said, bring the shoal, this translation says shoal, but it's actually talking about a veil. Bring the veil that is on you and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 ephahs of barley and laid it on her. Then she went into the city. When she came to her mother-in-law, she said, is that you, my daughter? She told her all that the man had done for her. So she began to talk to her mother-in-law and everything that happened that night. But if you look at Ruth chapter 3, Ruth chapter 3 verse 15, the man says to Ruth, if you look at verse 15, Ruth chapter 3 verse 15, the man says to Ruth in verse 15, he also said, bring the veil that thou hast upon thee and hold it. And when she held it, he measured 6 measures of barley and laid it on her, and she went into the city. So it's like telling her to, that veil that she has upon her, it's like telling her, hold up your veil, take off your veil and hold it out. And so she was holding it, and then he poured in some barley for her, and she carried it home. So we can also see that Ruth was wearing a veil here. She wasn't praying, she wasn't prophesying, but she had a veil over her head. So that's the reason why when you see the Muslim women today, they wear the veil all the time. That's not a Muslim practice. That is not a Muslim practice. It's a Hebrew culture. It's a Hebrew culture because the Muslims are also descendant of Ishmael. The Arabs are descendant of Ishmael. And Ishmael came from Abraham. So this is a Hebrew thing. So that's why you see the Muslim women cover their hair. They will never allow a man that is not their husband to see their hair. They cover their hair. They don't allow a man that is not their husband to see their hair. Their hair can only be seen by their husband. That's also what you see in the scripture. So you see when Rebecca was approaching Isaac, she quickly took her veil and covered her hair because Isaac has not become her husband at that point. And Rebecca was not going to sit there and allow this man to see her hair until he becomes her husband. That's why she quickly grabbed her veil and covered her hair. Like as I said before, I want you to imagine a horse carriage. Because at that time, donkey and horse was the car of that time. Imagine somebody who is in a horse carriage, and they were going on a long journey. She was relaxing in the back of those men, while the man was facing forward and riding the donkey or the camel. You're traveling with a camel. So she was relaxing, and she was able to see, hey, this, who is that man? And then, so when you are in your private house, in the house, like as I said the other day, if you are inside the house, and if you are inside the house and you want to take off all your clothes and walk around butt naked in the house, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to have a hair covering inside the house when you're by yourself. If a man calls and says that he's coming, or you have a visitor, a man, you have to have a head covering. So you see the Muslims today, they are not doing it because of Islam. Islam is a new religion. Christianity is older than Islam. Christianity is older than Islam. Christianity came after Christ. Christianity is less than 2,000 years old. Christianity was started in AD 311. 311 AD by Constantine. That was when he founded the Roman Catholic Church, which later became the Anglican Church and then became all these churches that you see today. But they're all the same. Islam came way after that. But before that, the Arabs was already practicing the Torah. I have multiple Quran. And in the Quran, it tells you, I am not a Muslim. I am a Hebrew. I am not a Muslim. Right now, I'm saying that I'm not a Muslim. I'm a Hebrew. I will never be a Muslim. I'm a Hebrew. I did not come from Ishmael. And I will never come from Ishmael. Those that came from Ishmael came from Ishmael. But at the same time, they are our brothers. They are our brethren because they are Hebrews also. The Ishmaelites are Hebrews. They are Hebrew Ishmaelites. While we are Hebrew Israelites. They are Hebrew Ishmaelites. So for those that condemn the Arabs, that's because you've been brainwashed by CNN and the Gentiles who want to portray them as being evil. But when you compare what the so-called terrorists are doing and what those who are calling them terrorists have done, when you compare what they're doing and what the so-called, those that call them terrorists, when you compare what they have done, there has never been any group in this planet more of a terrorist in this planet than those who are now calling the Ishmaelite terrorists. They have terrorized everywhere they've gone. You can sit here and get mad at me, or you can accept the fact. Every corner of the planet that they've gone, it's been atrocities, rape, murdering, stealing, havoc. Anywhere they go, destruction. And they will turn around and tell you from their CNN that the Muslims are terrorists. Yeah, you come destroy our country and they were supposed to keep quiet. If we fight back, then we are the terrorists. Why are they doing this? Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7, Revelation chapter 13, Daniel chapter 2, Daniel chapter 7 tells you what the fourth kingdom is going to do. The havoc, the atrocities, the rapes, the murdering, the stealing, the destruction they have caused all around the world. You see it right there in Daniel chapter 2. It tells you that it will happen. The Most High tells you that the fourth kingdom will do all this. It will crush everything in its path. They've done it in Africa, in the Middle East, the Americas. Everywhere they go, it's death, destruction. So no, the Ishmaelites are not terrorists. They are the people of the Most High. That's why the best countries in the world right now is in the Middle East. The Most High blessed them with wealth. That's exactly what he told Ishmael. Or when we told Ishmael's mother that he will bless Ishmael. And he has surely blessed them. Go to Dubai. Go to UEA. Go to this country, Saudi Arabia. Of course, you're not going to see it on CNN because they don't promote anything that is better than them. Anyone who is better than them, any country who is better than them, they're not going to show you that. No, they don't talk about that. No, they don't show that. They only show you poor people. Those that they are better than is the people that they will show you. Those who are better than them, they don't show you that. Go and study about the UEA, Dubai, Qatar. They are filthy rich over there. The Most High bless them. It's like, you go look it up online. You're looking at the pictures. It's like you're looking at like a Photoshop picture. But it's actually, what you're looking at is real. It's like heaven on earth. But you're not going to see that on TV. These people turn desert into air condition. They put massive, giant air condition. You live in a desert, but they put a giant air condition in the air, dropping waters and cooling the air. They have the wealth to do this, not because they are powerful, not because they know how to get wealth, but because the Most High told them that He would say that He would bless them. And He did that. His own people, He said that they will be at the bottom and their enemies will rule over them. And they will pretty much beg for whatever they get. They will serve their enemies. That's exactly what's happening. So no, so going back to the hair covering, that's why the so-called Muslim women cover their hair. And that's why they dress moderately. If you're not their husband, you're not going to see their hair. They will never let you do that. It's only for their husband. So, and it's called a veil. It doesn't mean to take a little, some people will take some little something and just put it on your hair. People do this when they want to pray. They take some just something. No, this is not hair covering. This is not what people do. That they take a little thing and you put your hair. Oh, I'm covered. No. Again, self-deception. A woman is supposed to be fully covered. And I'm talking about the real Muslim women. There are two types of Muslims. Two types. There are two types of Muslims. There are those that actually practice Islam. And then there are those that say that they're Muslims, but they don't practice. It's like what we're doing right now. Hebrew culture. There are those that claim that they're Hebrews, but they don't practice, because you have to practice these things. Yah wants us to practice it. So there are those that claim that they are, but they don't practice. There are Muslim women that wear tight jeans, very tight jeans, and then they put on a veil. Those that practice do not do that. Those that practice wear something that covers their body. You will never see their shape. Their shape is only for their husband. When they're inside the house, they can, take off their clothes, they can uncover their hair, walk around butt naked if they're only with their husband. But if they're going to come outside, they dress moderately, because they have no interest in attracting any man. Why would they expose their body? Any woman that dresses, that wear tight jeans, tight pants, short skirt, tight dresses, you are trying to attract men. Now, a married woman should not be doing that. Why would my wife want to dress sexy when she's going out? Who are you trying to attract? I'm not talking about, there's a difference between dressing sexy and dressing looking good. I'm not saying that my wife shouldn't look good. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about wearing stuff that reveals your body. Things that hugs your body. Very tight. What are you trying to do? Because you're trying to expose your body so men will see it and get turned on. If my wife does that, I'm thinking, okay, what are you who are you? I mean, you're trying to go to the store. You're trying to go out. Who are you trying to So it shows you're trying to attract a man, but what are you doing? So same thing with covering. So as it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 10, this is done as a sign of authority over your hair. As a sign of authority, what it shows for every woman, it shows that you agree with the order that the Most High put in place. The order that you saw in verse 3. But I want you to know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of woman is man, and the head of Christ is Elohim. So when you put on a head covering, whether you are married or not, It shows that you agree that you agree with the order that Yah put in place. So having a veil is not only for married women or widow or whatever, it's for every woman. It shows that you agree with that order. Why? Because if you go down to verse 10, it says as a sign of authority. As a sign of authority. It wasn't talking about your husband. Again, remember what I said earlier. When we read that, when we read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, I told you to pay attention to those points because they were going to come back up again. So when it says as a symbol of authority on your hair, that wasn't because of your husband. But let's see. Let's go back and see that so that we can, So it says this in verse 9 and verse 8 and verse 9. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. It says for 1 Corinthians chapter 11 verse 8. For man is not from woman, but woman from man. Nor was man created for the woman, but woman for the man. For this reason, the woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her hair. So this is talking about creation in general. Man was not created for the woman, but the woman was created for the man. What is he talking about? Talking about what happened in the garden. The Most High created Eve for Adam. Then he goes on to tell you that for this reason, a woman ought to have a symbol of authority on her hair. So this applies to both married women and unmarried women. Rebecca, back to Genesis 24, Rebecca was not married. But you see how she quickly grabbed her hair covering, her veil, and covered herself when she saw that stranger coming. Because at that point, Isaac was not her husband. They have never met each other before. So as she was about to get to the presence of a stranger, she quickly covered her hair. That's why I say that when you're inside your house, take off your hair covering, take off your clothes if you want to, sleep naked if you want to. But if you're going to go outside, you have to have that. It doesn't matter whether you're married or not. Because you can see in 1 Corinthians chapter 11 here. It simply says that in verse 10, as a sign of authority. But it says that you agree with that order. Because verse 10 talks about that order. How a woman was created for the men. A woman was created for men. But he also told you in verse 3 that the order, Christ is under Yah. Women are under Christ. Women are under men. Children are under, that's the order. So a woman that does not have that symbol of authority over her hair disagrees with Yah. And that's exactly what we see today. They disagree with the order that Yah put in place. Any woman that does not cover her hair, wear a veil, disagrees with the order that the Most High put in place. And you don't want to be around a woman like that. You don't want to be that woman. Because why? Why? If you go to John chapter 4, the Samaritan woman asked for salvation. At first, she had no idea who Yeshua was. When she found out who Yeshua was, she asked for salvation, for everlasting life. What did Yeshua say? Go call your husband. So for all those women out there, I'm sure that for the women who are listening, I know that all of you are righteous women. So this is not really for you. What I'm saying is not, what I'm about to say is not for you. Because no unrighteous woman will listen to this point. They would have been angry and left already. So for all those kind of women who does not agree with the order that Yah put in place, they will not be saved. They will not be saved. As the Most High is getting ready to judge the Gentiles and punish and destroy all those that refuse to keep his laws, according to Isaiah chapter 24, verse 1 to 6, Isaiah 24, 1 to 6, Malachi chapter 4, verse 1 to 6, Isaiah 24, verses 1 to 6, Malachi chapter 4, verses 1 to 6, as the Most High is getting ready to destroy those and punish first, punish and then destroy those that refuse to keep his laws, all these women and men that have refused to humble themselves under the law of the Most High, they will all be destroyed. Having a symbol of authority in your hair is very, very important. It shows that when I see a woman that has a hair covering, it tells me that this is a woman that has humbled themselves under the order of the Most High first, before you even start talking about husband. First. So no, or yes, a woman should cover her hair all the time. I'm not going to get into the other point that we saw about the angels. It talks about the angels, and whoever asks this question, may the Most High God bless you for asking this question. So when we Paul also says something about the angels. Now we're about to go into the spiritual area, about to go into spiritual world, and not everybody may understand what I'm about to say right now. When Paul said that women should cover their hair because of the angels, women should cover their hair because of the angels. Because the Most High do send angels some messages. The Most High do send message on message to go do things. They do come down here in the world. When they do come down, they typically take on a human flesh. And you will never know. You don't want to, like it says in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, what happened, what Paul was referring to, according to Enoch chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9, what Paul was referring to was that the angels began to lust after women. Okay, they began to lust after women. These are the messengers of Yah. Let's call it what it is. Angels are messengers. But angels are also not the only messengers. The Most High has human messengers that work for him. Those messengers of the Most High, they began to lust after women. The result was sex, which brought on disaster. The Most High eventually had them destroy each other. Now, do you really want to be a woman like that? Do you want to be a woman that will be used by Satan do you want to allow Satan to use you as a tool to make the messenger of the Most High to sin? Is that really who you want to be? Because certainly a lot of women today have made themselves that. When you quote unquote dress sexy, I see this all the time. Even yesterday I'm like, it's everywhere you go. Women are literally walking around butt naked today. Women are walking around butt naked. Now, when I say butt naked, I mean in God's standard. Oftentimes, our standard is different. In the standard of the Most High, you could have some things on your body, but you're still naked. And I have demonstrated this in the past. I have demonstrated this for you. So in the standard of the Most High, you can have some clothes on your body, but you are still butt naked. And the Most High was very clear on this in the book of Jubilees chapter 3, verse 31. He was very specific. So, if I show you this, if I cover this and I show it to you, you can't really tell what I'm holding right now. I covered this thing up. It's covered. And I'm showing it to you. You can't really tell what this is, because it's covered. I own this thing. And I can see it. I know exactly what's inside. It's mine. But I don't want you to see it. That's why it's covered. That's why I cover it. Because you have no business seeing it. But I can want you to see it if I want to. Now, so you can't really tell what I have in here. Now, if I go ahead and I'm still going to cover it, but I will cover it differently and show it to you. This is the same thing that I was covering earlier. I'm now going to show it to you. This is the same thing that I covered earlier. I'm showing it to you right now. You can, it's covered. If you look at this, it's clearly covered. So technically, this is covered right now. If we want to be technical, this is covered. So if the requirement is that I have to cover this, it's covered, but it can be seen. You can clearly see it. You can see the different colors. You can see blue right here. You can see the cover. You can tell what this is. This is a little bottle, a small little bottle. You can clearly see what this is. But technically, it's covered. But you can see it. A lot of people are being technical with the Most High. Well, I was told to cover, so I'm covering myself. But it can still be seen. So this is pretty much how people dress today. People will claim that they were wearing something, but you can still see, like yesterday. I met a Hebrew yesterday. She knows she's a Hebrew, but she's no longer practicing Hebrew. She's no longer following the Torah. She was wearing a leggings. This is the equivalent of a leggings. This is the equivalent of a leggings. Because that leggings was a black leggings. But I was able to see the color of her underwear. When she left me, as she was walking away, I saw the color of her pant. Her underwear. It was a white color. But she's wearing a leggings. She was wearing like a pant. But I was able to clearly see the color of her pant. So technically, she's covered. But I was still able, you can clearly see it because she wanted it to be seen. There's a spirit of prostitution on our women today. Spirit of prostitution. One of the reasons why you should not allow your daughter to throw away her virginity. It's so destructive. Because a woman is not supposed to be having sex with multiple women or multiple men. A woman is supposed to have sex with one man at a time. If that man dies, then she can marry someone else. A woman having sex with multiple men is not good. If I have a wife, she's with me and I begin to have sex with her. As my sperm is coming out and going into her body, she's becoming me. She's taking on my spirit. She's taking on my behavior. She's becoming me. This is the reason why you have hardened criminals, evil people. Their wives will still stand behind them. In some cases, they will never see anything wrong with what their husband did. So when a man is having sex with a woman, she's quietly, slowly becoming that woman, or becoming that man, because that sperm is powerful. That sperm creates a baby. You were once a sperm. I was once a sperm on a man's body that went into a woman's body, and then that's how I came out. That's how I was formed. That sperm is powerful. If that sperm can turn into a human being and that baby comes out and becomes a human being, that's why you see in some cases, in most cases, people behave like their father. They look like their dad. They behave like their dad or whatever. In most cases. So as that sperm is coming into a woman, it's powerful. That woman is taking that sperm on. She's becoming that man. This is the reason why the Most High told the Israelites, when you go to war and against your enemies, kill everything. Kill everything. Every woman that have known a man, meaning that she's lost her virginity, don't take them. Kill them. Only take the virgins. Why do you think the Messiah says that? Exactly the reason why he said it is exactly what I just explained to you. Do not take any woman that have lost her virginity. Kill her. Now, if we go back to the law said that we can marry widows. We can marry widows. 2 Samuel chapter 12. In 2 Samuel chapter 12, the Most High talked about how he gave David Saul's wives. So we are allowed to marry widows, legitimate widows, not the kind of widow that people are claiming to be today. A widow is a woman or a girl who is a virgin. She gets married, her husband dies, the only man she's been with dies, then she's a widow, biblically. We can marry a woman like that. And that's what you see, that the Most High took about 10 of them and gave them to David as wives. They used to be Saul's wife. When Saul died, the Most High gave his wives to David. 2 Samuel chapter 12. So, going back to what the Most High told his people, that if you go against your enemies, kill everyone and kill everything and only take the virgins. The reason for that is because if technically, according to the law, they could kill their husbands and take the women. But Yah said, don't do it. Only take those who are virgins. They have to be checked. Check them. Make sure that they are virgins and then take them. The rest, don't take them. Why? Because those women who have lost their virginity, they have become their husband. They will never be loyal to you. For those of you who are young men and men, I hope you take note to this. I hope that you take note to this. It's a very important information. They will never be loyal to you. Their true love. I'm not talking about the love that they say that they have. I'm talking about reality here. I'm talking about spiritually. Spiritually and biblically, their true love will always be with that man that they lost their virginity to. A woman will never forget her first man. Ever, never forget the man. She will never forget that moment and that man. That's why a lot of women today wish that they wish that they were a virgin until they met the man that they're with right now. Most women will tell you, I wish I kept my virginity till my wedding night. Because men will value you more. A man will never accuse you of he may accuse you of different things. What he will never accuse you is of, being going after men. He can never accuse you of that because you were a virgin when he met you, and men will respect you for that. But for the young men, the reason why the Most High told the Israelites to kill everything and every woman that have known a man is that woman will never be loyal to you. Now, she may be singing every 30 minutes that she loves you. I love you. I love you. I love you. But spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, and the Most High have said it all. He is our creator. He knows exactly what he created. A woman that did not lose her virginity to you will not be submissive and loyal to you the way that the Most High wants it to be. Do you want to have it the way you want it to be? Or do you want to have things the way the Most High wants it to be? There are some people that I want to be with, but I know that the Most High would not want me to be with them. So that's the reason why, if you have ever wondered why women no longer call their husband their master, if you have ever wondered that, because women are no longer that, because what happens is that, and as we go through this right now, you will understand why I keep talking about your daughter. Your daughter. I don't even know who you are. I don't even know who is like watching and listening. I know maybe some of you, but I don't know all of you. But I care so much in you making sure that your daughter kept her virginity, kept her pureness until her wedding night. Because the reason why is because there are things in this book. I do get calls. I do get calls from people. People are now realizing the truth. And it's very difficult to try to correct this. There's no correction. I've shown you guys from the scriptures. You've made mistakes. Why in the world would you allow your child to make the same mistakes? You need to begin now to think of how finding a husband for your daughter. You need to begin to think about that now. You need to do it now. She needs to be betrothed. If she has seen her first period, she is ready for marriage. She is overdue for marriage. And for most of you, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen for most of you, because there are some that I know, and for most of you, well, for those of you who don't take this thing seriously, I'm going to tell you what will happen. What will happen to you is that you will think that this is a joke. But you're going to say, no, it's not a joke. Oh, this brother is serious. This is true. This is serious. This is true. But your action, I'm talking about your actions. You're going to ignore this because you live with your children. Sometimes you do tell them what to do, which is good for them, but they don't want to do it. So sometimes your children are kind of sick and tired of you sometimes. Sometimes your son or your daughter will be sick and tired of you. Like, it's like, because there are things that they want to do, but you're like, no, you can't do it. Now, let me tell you, in the world we live in today, a lot of children, this is sad, but it happens. A lot of children will actually try to find out what is it that they will do to get back at you. This is a foolish, childish thinking, but children do this. They will try to find out that thing that they know that you don't want them to do, but then they will do it to get back at you. But what they don't realize is that they're actually doing themselves. They're about to hurt themselves, but they don't realize it because they're a child. They think that they're trying. To them, if you oppose that thing and them doing it, then they're getting back at you. But what they don't realize is that whatever you oppose that they shouldn't do is for their own good. They don't know that until it's too late. So some children will go ahead and be with a boy that you told them not to mess with, just to get back at you. The result in the future will be disaster. Disaster will be the result. And like you were able to have sex for the first time, and your mother did not know, your dad did not know. What makes you think that you would know when your child would do it? You think that they will consult you? You're being naive. You're being a little foolish if you think that they will tell you. When they will do this, you will not know. The day that they do it, you will not. You're supposed to know. See, that's the thing. Read Deuteronomy chapter 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22 from verse 13 to verse 21. You are supposed to know. You're supposed to approve it, who they will marry. You're supposed to know. These are the disasters that come from us following the Gentiles, the Europeans. So to them, somebody like me is a radical lunatic. The Bible is some book, ancient, archaic book. In Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16 to verse 22, the Most High is calling us to go back to the old ways. Where do you find that old ways? He tells you in that same place, Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16 to verse 22. The law is the old ways. We need to go back. The world is moving forward. We're supposed to be going backwards to his laws. So when it's going to happen, you will most likely not know, and your daughter will eventually begin to regret it. And you yourself, if you do care about her, you will also regret it. And once it's done, it's too late. It's too late. It's too late at that point. So for the young men, the reason why the Most High told the Israelites to kill all the women that when they go to war against their enemies, typically the enemies of Israel are those that hate the Most High. The Israelite has never went and attack a nation that fears the Most High. Never. The nations that they attack, the nations that the Most High told them to go attack, like you see in 1 Samuel. 1 Samuel chapter 15. 1 Samuel chapter 15. The nations that the Most High usually tells them to go attack is a wicked nation. A nation that refuses to keep Yah's law. And Yah says, when you get over there, kill everything. All the males, all the men, all the women that have known a man, and take only the virgins. So I've told you the reason why, because when that's why most of our women behave the way they behave. Crazy. They have an identity disorder. You're supposed to be married and only be having sex with your husband, and then you begin to become one with your husband. See, when the Bible says one flesh, how two flesh becomes one. Two people, they become one. That's exactly what the Bible is talking about. You begin to be together, and then you begin to become one flesh. But when a girl has a boyfriend, she has sex with her boyfriend, and then they break up, and then she cries. Then he moves on. She cries, and then she cleans her eyes. A month later, 2 months later, she finds another boy. Then they begin to have sex. And then eventually, because that's what all boys are really interested in, then they break up. Most of you know that you've been with more than one man. You know that. So that is confusion, because you're taking on the spirit of all these men. That's why most women are crazy today. That's why most women cannot be loyal to you. They cannot. When you talk about submission, they're like, what? It's like you're holding a knife to stab them. That's why you see the women you read in the scripture. Why would Sarah be calling her husband her master? You go to the Middle East. There's a spirit of prostitution that have befallen the Hebrew women, because the Hebrew women are learning the things they do from the Gentiles. The Gentile women are very promiscuous. They can walk around butt naked in the street. There are some cities where they can walk around naked. There are beaches where they have nude beach. Gentile women they don't mind. They will show you their vagina if you care to see their vagina. They will show it to you. They're very promiscuous. And they are the ones that the Hebrews have learned from. That's why our women are not ashamed to show their behind. They are not ashamed to show their breasts or uncover their hair because they've learned from the Gentiles. Now go over to the Middle East, to the Hebrew Ishmaelite. Do you see the difference between the two women? Typically, a woman will lose her virginity to her husband, even till this day in the Middle East. When the French government decided to ban head covering, it was the Muslim women that went to the street, was protesting. Go look it up. The French government tried to ban head covering. It was not the Muslim men. It was the women that was fighting on the street, like that was protesting to preserve their right to wear a head covering. There's a difference between Hebrew women of today and the Ishmaelite women of today. Why? Because an Ishmaelite woman, a Muslim woman, I'm talking about those who are practicing. I'm not talking about those who live in America who claim that they are Muslim, but they're not really. They don't practice. I'm not talking about those who came from the Middle East who are, no, I'm talking about those that practice, and you do see them once in a while. There's a difference between those women and the Hebrew women you see today. You can see by the dressing, you can see by the behavior. These women will hardly talk to you if you're a man. If you want to talk to them, you have to go talk to their husband. I saw one not too long ago, and I was talking to her about how she dressed. She was so uncomfortable. She was so uncomfortable, and like she doesn't want to have any conversation with me. She did not want to do it. So what's going on is that you can see the difference between these two Hebrew women, the Ishmaelite women and the Israelite women today. Those Hebrew Ishmaelite women are very reserved. They wear their veil. They dress very moderately. Their private part is for their husband, if they have one. If not, they still cover themselves moderately. They are not trying to show you their worth by showing you their vagina. That's not how they show their value or their worth. So you see the difference between these two women. But when you come to character, you see that those women they tend to be, if they are not submissive to the Torah, which the Quran, I have Quran, I've read the Quran where it says this. Quran tells them to keep the laws in the Torah. So if they are not submissive to that, they would not be covering their hair. They wouldn't mind. They wouldn't be doing those things. So there's a difference between these two women. But when it comes to behavior, really, when it comes to behavior, you see that these women in the Middle East, most of the time, you can go research it, most of the time they've only been with one man. Because that's what they see in their culture. That's what they see. You keep your virginity until your wedding night. Most of the time they've been with one man, who is their husband. So you see that their behavior is different. There's no argument or debate or issue about submission or whatever, head covering. There's none of that. Because everyone is loyal to her husband. Everyone is loyal to her husband. So there's no debate about that. That's why when the French government, they got the European government and the French government, which is the French government, they were like, oh, these women are being oppressed in the Middle East. These women who are wearing their veil walking around in our country, they are being oppressed. Let's pass a law so in that way they can stop wearing veil. It was not the men, it was the women that went and protested against that. So the point you're seeing here is that because most of the time they've been with one man only, they've only taken on the spirit of that man, and they're only royal to that man, which is the way that Yah wants it to be done. But if you come over to our own side, oftentimes our daughters will have multiple men, multiple boyfriends, all the way from middle school, high school, college. By the time a girl is out of college, she's been with at least 10 different men, most of the times. Because in those universities, you may want to look this up, they have orgies. They throw parties. This party is, when it's going on, you Once you join in, you know, they just have sex like group sex. Your daughter or your son may be able to resist this, the first year. They might resist the first year, the second year, they may not be able to in the third year to resist stuff like that. So these are the reasons why, you know, these are things that will happen. So for the young men also, and for the men, again, this is not me speaking about this. If you look, the reason why the Most High said not to take any woman that have lost her virginity when you go to war, but only to take those who are virgins, is because their royalty has not gone to any man. That's why. That's the reason why you see, you know, that it's a mess today. It's a mess. There's a lot more. I'm trying to send a message here. I'm trying to deliver a message here of what's really going on. So when you hear me speaking against things, there's something that I have seen. There are some information that I have that I'm trying to pass on to you right now. This is the reason why I speak so much against the school system. I speak against the school system. I speak about letting your son to go learn a trade. Because when your son goes to school and gets this so-called degree, when your son gets this crap over here, your son will not be able to keep the Sabbath. He will not. Because by the time he finishes getting this degree and comes out, he's in debt from the student loan. And then he has to find a job. So by the time he graduates, he's already in debt. Then he has to find a job. He's not going to sit there in the job interview telling the new employer, oh, by the way, could you guys give me Sabbath days off? No. Before they even come out of that college, he is now a full-fledged whoremonger. He has, quote unquote, has multiple girlfriends. It's not supposed to be so. This is not only for girls, but for boys also. Your son needs to keep his pants up until his wedding night. He's only allowed to have sex with his wife. When you look at this whole thing, whether you're talking about keeping the Sabbath, whether you're talking about head covering, whether, if you look at this whole thing and you put them all together, then you will be able to understand why Second Esdras chapter 8, Second Esdras chapter 8, verse 1 to 3 tells you that this world that you and I live in right now was made for many. It's been created for many people. The world to come, which is the kingdom of heaven, the kingdom of the Most High, that is made for few people. Very few people will make it in. Yeshua was quoting the book of Ezra, chapter 8, verse 1 to 3, when Yeshua told you in Matthew chapter 10, or Matthew chapter 7, Matthew chapter 7, verse 13 and 14, Matthew 7, 13 and 14, when Yeshua told you that narrow is the way that leads to life, broad is the way that leads to destruction, and very few people will find that way that leads to life. Very few people will travel on it. That's what Yeshua was quoting 2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 1 to 3. This is serious. The Most High have called us and called us and called us and called us to be ye separate. Be ye holy. Leviticus 20, 26. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 2. 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 17 and 18. Be ye holy, be ye separate. Don't do the things that they do. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Learn not the ways of the heathen. Most of the things we do today, our dressing, the things that we eat, the religion that we used to practice, which was Christianity, most of the things we do today came from the heathen, the Gentiles. Today they are known as the Europeans. The Chinese did not inspire how you used to dress. The Chinese did not inspire how you used to eat. The Chinese did not inspire the religion that you used to worship, which was Christianity. The Africans did not do that. The Latinos did not do that. It was the Europeans. They are the heathen that the Bible speaks of. And even they themselves, in the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, Paul calls on them to abandon their own ways that are filthy ways. Paul called on them to abandon their way. If you are a Gentile, the Most High is calling on you in Numbers chapter 15, verse 15 and verse 16, that all his laws applies to you. You need to stop living like your people. Your people are filthy and disgusting. They don't want to have anything to do with the law of the Most High. If the Gentiles themselves are being called on to abandon their own ways, why do we follow them? Why should we be following them? If you do not keep the law of the Most High, you will not be allowed into the kingdom of heaven. We have to separate ourselves from these people. When you do separate yourself from them, they will call you crazy. They will mock you. They will laugh at you. Your family will insult you. They will say you've joined a cult. That's okay. That's the reason why Christ told you in Matthew chapter 5 verse 10 that blessed are you when people say all manners of evil things against you because of him and because of righteousness' sake. What is righteousness? Psalm 119 verse 172. Yah's law is righteousness. The law of the Most High is righteousness. When you begin to keep those laws, people will say all kinds of evil things against you. If you ignore them and you continue to keep those laws, you are traveling on that narrow way, which is difficult. Your reward is waiting for you. If you are a fool and you try to find a loophole, argue, well, I know it says that, I know they used to do that, but like we're living right now, we're in captivity, we don't have to do that anymore. You are a fool. And you will end up like the foolish 5 virgins in Matthew 25. You're supposed to be like the other 5 virgins who was wise. That's why this is very important. This is not a joke. This is real. This is true. And the Most High will hold you even at a higher standard because now you know. So for those of you who are not serious, you may stop participating over here. You may stop listening. I will advise you to actually stop listening. If you're not serious, if you're only coming here to be entertained, stop listening. If I find who you are, I will block you. I will get rid of you, block you on YouTube, block you on Skype. I don't want to have people who are not serious about the law around me. I don't want to have them around me. This is not a joke. If you're coming here to kind of like check it out and explore, get the hell out of this place. Get out. I don't want to see you. I don't want to deal with you. If I find out that you're not serious about these things, I will separate myself from you. Be ye holy, for I am holy. The Most High says. Being holy is not feeling. Keeping the laws is what sets you apart. We're talking about tassels. How many people did you see yesterday that wore tassel? Keeping those laws. Having your beard. Having tassels on your clothes. Observing the Sabbath. Observing these laws. Having your head covering. Dressing moderately. These are things that sets us apart. That's the definition of holiness. Set apart. If you don't want to be set apart right now, or if you want to be set apart like halfway, when the Most High sends out his angels Those who will be gathered are those who are being set apart. Matthew chapter 13 from verse 24. Then from verse 36, Yeshua explains the parable. Matthew 13 from 24. Those who are being set apart are the ones who will be gathered. And it starts from right now. Think of Noah. Do you think if any of his son was not keeping the law that he would have been saved? Hell no. They were all being set apart. Keeping these laws is what sets us apart. So these are the reasons why the things that happen in the world today happen and so forth. Now I hope that you get a different understanding today. Hope that you've gotten a different understanding why the Most High doesn't want. Look at Deuteronomy chapter 24. Please go read it at your own time. Read Deuteronomy chapter 24 from verse 1 to 4. Only 4 verses. I always warn people about, if you read it in the King James, it says something different from the New King James. Because the translators made a mistake in the King James when it comes to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1 to 4. Deuteronomy 24, verse 1 to 4, the translators made a mistake. I give them credit. They were Gentiles, but I give them credit for correcting their mistake. They corrected that mistake in the New King James when it comes to Deuteronomy chapter 24. They corrected the mistake that they made, and I give them credit for doing that. So it says 2 different things in the King James and New King James. So read it from the New King James and you will see. Now, the Most High said in Deuteronomy chapter 24 that if a man has a wife, and for whatever reason, she goes and becomes another man's wife, or not another man's wife, but another man has sex with her. Read it and you will see. If another man has sex with her, that's it. You can never take her back again. The Bible says that she has been defiled. You can never take her back. That's it. That's what we saw in Jubilees chapter 33 with Jacob and his wife and Reuben. After Reuben raped her, that's it. Jacob could no longer have sex with her again. Why is that? Because of what I explained earlier. Because once another man's sperm goes inside a woman, that's it. She's defiled. But we have a situation today where we have that most of our women have been with multiple men. That's one of the major reasons why it's so difficult for you to humble yourself down. You're not only supposed to be submissive only when you have a husband. That's not only when you're supposed to be submissive. Having a head covering in your head or dressing moderately, humbling yourself to the law of the Most High, whichever that law is, that is submissive. But when you have a head covering in your hair, it's not only for married women. Like Rebecca grabbed her veil. She wasn't married then. Ruth, in Ruth chapter 3, had a veil. She wasn't married, she was a widow, but she still had a veil. It shows that you agree with the order that the Most High put in place. And the Most High did this to really test people, to test women, to see. The rebellious one will not take this seriously. Those who are humble and submissive will see what's going on. So veils are to be worn all the time, except when you're taking shower, when you're relaxing inside your own home. You don't have to wear a veil when you're inside. But if another man is going to see you, you have to have a head covering on. You have to have a veil. If another man will see you, you cannot let any man see your hair. You have to have a head covering. If you have a husband and you're inside the house with your husband, same thing with dressing. You can do whatever you want. You are at your private space. Example of this is what you saw with Rebecca. in Genesis 24. But if you're gonna go outside, and even the Muslims are still doing this till this day. A Muslim woman will never allow you to see her hair. You see them fighting with the Gentiles when it comes to taking pictures at DMV. You see the lawsuit. Go on YouTube. You see lawsuits and them refusing to take off their head covering. You see them suing suing people, suing government, suing people. They refuse to do it. Most Hebrew women will be like, "Oh, you want me to take off my veil? Oh, okay. They take it off, and they take picture." Muslim women will never do that. They will never. They will turn around. If you refuse to give them what they want, if you say that they must take off their veil before they can give them that, they will turn around and they will sue you. They will sue you for discrimination. Now you go to police department. You see that police women who had their veils. Police officers, they wear their veils. I think it started in Minneapolis or whatever. And then from there, the New York Police Department now allows it. Their police department are now wearing the women in the New York NYPD. They now wear veils. Their police department, and basically, if you say no, they will sue you for discrimination. They will sue you for discrimination, and cities don't want to waste their time, waste money in court and waste time in doing that. But most people will just roll over and be like, "Okay, you want me to take off my veil? All right," they will take it off. But these women will never allow a man that is not their husband to see their hair. This is real. So it's not, and something too about another point is, Yeshua said that whoever looks at a woman to lust after her commits adultery. Yeshua was speaking to the men, and he says that whoever looks at a woman to lust after her commits adultery. My question for women is, typically for us men, it says in Sirach chapter 42 verse 12. Sirach 42 verse 12 describes your body, some parts of your body, as a charm. That part of your hand is not a charm if you're a woman. This is not going to turn me on. Your nose is not going to turn me on. Your ear will not turn me on unless if that man is sick. Your feet will not turn me on. Your behind, your butt will turn me on. Your breast will turn me on. Sirach chapter 42 verse 12 calls it a charm. And it says that they are to be covered. Sirach, please read it. Look at Sirach chapter 42 verse 12. But read the whole chapter and see what it says. So it encourages men to make sure that their daughters covers their charm, because their charm is only for their husband. So the question is, if Yeshua says to men, whoever looks at a woman to lust after her commits adultery in his heart, why would you want Satan to allow you to be used to make me to lust after you? Because we certainly do. Men, that's why women dress the way they dress. Women will admit I'm trying to dress sexy. And today people will laugh, ha 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 ha. It's supposed to be like funny and good to dress sexy. Who in the world are you trying to attract? So this is one of the wars that Satan is waging against men today. That we now have millions and millions of agents of Satan walking around with their behind. For us men, I'm talking about the real men. When we see that, when we see that, it turns us on. It makes us think about sex. A real man will tell you that. When they see your behind like that, your breast like that, the way you see women dressed today, wearing tight jeans and short skirt and tight dresses also, not just, there are those that are technical. Those that will try to be technical, they will wear a very tight dress and they claim that they wear a dress. They will say, okay, I'm not wearing a trouser. Deuteronomy chapter 22 verse 5 says, I'm not supposed to wear trousers. Okay, I'm not wearing a trouser, I'm wearing a dress. But that dress is tight in terms of your behind. And by the way, men will not respect you. When they look at you like that, they're looking at a sex object. All they're thinking is sex. They will not admit this. I'm admitting it to you. I'm just telling you. When we see you like that, all we think is, oh man, what will we are thinking, what will it be like to have sex with her? This is what men imagine. What will it be like? Look at her breast, look at her behind. And then oftentimes, most men will then approach you and begin to talk to you and be trying to get your number as if they really care. They don't give a damn about you. All they care is they are trying to, talk to you and eventually take you to dinner, whatever. They just want to have sex with you. That's it. Is that really what you want? It shows you have low self-esteem. You're not confident. That's why you're exposing your body. That you're trying to get approved. So these are things that, young people need to know and understand. So, but again, do you really want to be used as an object to get men? Do you really want to be used? Because just like Yah punished Eve, he will punish you. Some women would tell me, somebody told me, well, if a man looks at me and lust after me, that's his problem. Well, Yeshua also said that, basically he said that woe is anyone who makes any one of these little ones to sin. If you cause any one of his sheep to sin, it would be better for you that a stone is tied around you and you're thrown into an ocean. That's what Yeshua said. Than on the judgment day, if you cause any one of his sheep to sin. That's what he says. So for those women, for the person that told me, well, if a man looks at me the way I dress and lust after me, that's his problem. That's not mine. No. According to Yeshua, you will be held responsible if you caused any of them to, any of his people to sin, to break the law. Because oftentimes men will go on to either masturbate or watch pornography or go to strip club or go find some woman to have sex with. But you're the one that turned them on. So, again, I'm going to, as we close, if there's any more question, we'll get to it next Tuesday. We'll be on Tuesdays. On Tuesdays, whatever time that time is in your area. I know we're in different countries and we're in different places. So if you have any question, feel free to send it in. You can call in. You can just send me a message through WhatsApp, and through WhatsApp. You can call me also through WhatsApp. You can text or call the number that you see or email me. If there are other questions, we'll go through it next Tuesday. Yah's willing, we'll be together next Tuesday again. But until then, if you want to talk to me on the phone, we can talk. If you call and I don't answer, I will call you whenever I can. I'm very happy and grateful to the Most High for this particular WhatsApp because it allows people in the Caribbean, in Europe, anywhere you are. If you have access to the internet on your phone, you can call me from there. They won't charge you much. It's just, how WhatsApp works. So I'm very happy that I have it now because there are sometimes people who are trying to contact me, from Asia or from whatever, or people are trying to, I notice that when they send me a message, I can't even respond, because, it's like, but through WhatsApp, we can do that. So I'm very, very, very happy that we have that now. As time goes on, I'm working on trying to put some things together so that before the broadcast will start, you will get a notification that the broadcast, so as time goes on, probably by next Tuesday or as time goes on, I will put some things together. So we'll be meeting every Tuesday for this. If you still want to join us for our Skype Bible study, law study for Bible Law School on Skype. You can join us. I saw like notifications. For those of you that sent in notifications, I will try to confirm. I think I confirmed one already. I will do the other one, and you can let me know. Because if you contact me on Skype, I don't know why you're contacting me until you tell me if you would like to join the class. Then I will add you. I will add you into the class, but you have to let me know, because I'm not just going to add you just because you contacted me. You have to let me know that you want to join in, because we have a limited people that we can have on the Skype. So, but I thank our Heavenly Father for everything for today. It's been a wonderful time going through His Word, and I thank the person that asked the question about veil. May the Most High bless you and protect you and guide you and your family. If you do have any question, you can plan to call in next time. I prefer you call in. I prefer calling in than just, I think there may be, hopefully not. For those of you that typed in questions on the comment, unfortunately, like as I said, for some reason over here, I'm hoping that YouTube, I'm hoping that YouTube will be able to enable this for. I'm hoping that YouTube will be able to enable this and allow me to be able to maybe communicate with you through chat or something. But hopefully they'll do that. But I thank our Heavenly Father for everything, and I thank you, every one of you that participated. This will be the end of the broadcast. If you have other questions like we did today, we looked at different things. If you have other questions, we can continue next Tuesday. I really want to make this as often as possible, but for now we'll do it on Tuesdays. Also, if you belong to those groups, or you're more than welcome to share this video online. After we finish on this broadcast right now, the video will be available. You're more than welcome to share it in the groups that you belong to. Whether you belong to Facebook groups or Twitter or whatever, you can share it along. You can also share this broadcast when it's going on live. I think you have I think you may have an option where you can actually share the link to this broadcast. So in that way, people in Facebook and other places will be able to see it and join in if they want to. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. We are supposed to be on for 2 hours, but we've been on for a little bit more than 3 hours now. But I'm going to have about 2 hours to do this on Tuesdays. Again, like as I said, I can't really tell you the time, but because of we're in different places, we're in different countries and different places. So it's going to be around the time that you saw the broadcast today. Whatever that time is in your area, that's when it's going to be. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. Hopefully, you've picked up one or two things, and hopefully, Yah's willing, I will see you again, or we'll be together again for the next broadcast next Tuesday. But until then, all praises to Yah, and feel free to contact me at any time, whenever you want. You're more than welcome to call, text, WhatsApp, Skype. You're more than welcome to do that. Until next time, may Yah bless you, may Yah protect and guide you and your family as you go and travel on this journey.